Hey, model airplane nerds and stunt hangar fans all over the world. Welcome. It is July the 13th, another Monday, and we're here to talk about toy airplanes for the next few hours. And so, welcome to the show. Looks like we're all hooked up. Got the chat box up on YouTube, got the links posted over in the Stunt Hangar forums, and so if you're logged into stunthangar.com as a member, you can go to the At the Bench forum and find today's link. It'll be in the first thread with today's date in the title, and click that top link and come in with your microphone and camera. And if you'd rather use YouTube, then go to the Stunt Hangar YouTube channel, and you can use the live text chat box while you watch us on video and type your comments, questions, suggestions, and whatever else you got there, and join our conversation that way via your keyboard. And so, right now, we let's see, don't have anybody pawing at the door to get in, so we'll hang out here and wait. And here comes my first visitor, Tom Rannell, usually the first. Couldn't hack it tonight, could you, Tom?
I didn't try.
I'm going to start using that password option, I think. The other night, I wasn't surprised when you were able to just tap key your way in, knowing what the link was going to be, but that's it's not supposed to be that easy. So, if you were here back in the day when the trolls used to come in on video, it was horrible, and so I'm going to have to make it so that can't happen. I just realized how easy it is to do that, and so that'll just make it more of a challenge for you. That's all. But hey, you got your Carl Zeiss T-shirt on, I see.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Um, that's an optical company, right?
Yeah, it's actually Carl Zeiss.
Oh, is that how
It
it's
started
pronounced?
out strictly optical, but it's the company I work for, and the division I work for makes coordinate measurement machines, which is kind of like a robot that measures parts.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Um, I didn't know. I knew you were an engineer working in high tech, but I didn't know exactly what tech it was you were working in. So Zeiss, I'll have to remember that. When I bought my current point and shoot camera, which is a Samsung, um, so it's been several. That camera's got some years on it now, probably 6 or 7 years, but it's got a Carl Zeiss label on the optics. In the front. And man, that's been a great camera. The colors are absolutely beautiful, and it's more clear than any other camera I believe I've ever used. And it's
Yeah,
just
Zeiss makes a lot of optics with start out with microscopes, and
mhm,
then they make rifle scopes and eyeglasses and
yeah,
things for eye surgery. It's a it's a pretty big company.
yeah. That little Samsung camera is just a. I think back then it was a 50 or $60 camera, point and shoot, and it was before cell phones were really cell phone cameras were really as good as they are now, which those things can make somebody look like a professional photographer if you use them right. But this one took the clearest picture with 10x optical zoom. That's why I bought it, because out at the field I wanted to be able to zoom way in and out, and that 10x zoom and 14 megapixel picture is a pretty good combination.
Sure.
Sure. Hey, John, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm here. This is one of those nights where I had to kind of make myself get to the computer and get ready for the show. But I did take some advice I read. I went ahead and locked down a live stream about 2 hours ago and just let it sit there waiting. Somebody said that's the best way to guarantee, or not guarantee, but the best chance of getting and keeping a good quality stream. I don't know why, but I took the advice and did it. So um, hopefully that'll make for a good experience, a good streaming experience for us tonight.
Well, I know there's only 3 of us here, but actually looks pretty good.
Good, yeah. Yeah, your picture is good. Your sound's good, and Tom's clear, loud and clear too. So we'll see how it goes. I'm always open for suggestions. We've had so many embarrassing nights where I could hardly get it to work at all that I'll take suggestions from anybody anytime.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to flip my picture here.
It's in your camera settings somewhere. You've got a separate camera or a built-in camera?
Separate camera.
It should be, if you will, your camera software might be in your system tray down on the bottom right of the taskbar. But either way, wherever it is, if you open your camera settings and options, then somewhere in there it'll let you reverse it, so it's like looking at a mirror. So if I reach up and touch the lens with my right hand, it feels like my right hand touching the lens, and
Yeah.
not like trying to
There's
touch
my
your
right
head in the
hand.
mirror.
Oh, actually, that's probably right. Yeah.
It shouldn't be confusing. It should not be like, well, you ever try to cut your hair in a mirror? I bet you have. And it's confusing as hell. And you get the mirrors, you get the scissors turned around backwards, and so it makes it.
Especially around here.
Yeah. But it fixes that problem.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's where your settings for that is going to be found in your camera software. So
Okay.
we got Tom and John so far, and I set up the stream a while back, and I've been over on Chrome watching space videos and stuff, and I neglected to get my coffee, so I might step away in a minute and let y'all have the show while I get myself a nice hot cup of coffee. And here comes Bill. Hey, Bill, how are you tonight?
Good.
Right.
Got my new motor.
Oh, good. Oh, nice. And there's Peter.
Hey.
So the crowd is coming together nicely. Looks like we are assembling a workable show tonight.
I saw Tran and Mike Lodkey and Sam on the live feed for the Nats.
Did they talk to the camera, or did you just see a picture of them doing something, flying planes or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of a little bit of both. Unfortunately, I did watch Sam put his plane in the first round.
Was it in the vertical 8?
Yeah, it was in the overhead 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Usually the vertical 8 is his nemesis, or it has been.
Well, I think he bailed out of that. I think, if I remember correctly, I think he bailed out. I don't know. Anyway, it was near the end of the pattern when he went in, unfortunately. And I saw they passed on the second round, so probably did it in pretty bad.
So this was an official flight?
Yeah. It was during the weekend, for intermediate.
Yeah. Oh, Sam. Sorry about that.
Yeah, me too. Trey and Sparky was giving Trey some instruction on why he was bouncing coming out the bottoms due to his handle not having a certain adjustability. Anyway, so they'll probably talk about it when they get back here. It looks like everybody's having fun there.
I wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to give Sam detailed minutia type advice at the moment. You just need to get him calmed down and settled in, because he knows how to do it.
Oh yeah,
and he
but,
can do it.
But it wasn't Sam that Sparky was giving the advice to. It was Tran.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I wish them luck in their further events. Hope they have a lot of fun. And combat is the main objective of Team Leinke, so they'll probably do well in that. And Sam was kicking ass and taking names last I heard in combat. And, and so God, I hope they have a lot of fun. There's still plenty of time left. Wonder what the weather's like up there. Is it hot and dry?
Well, over the weekend it was overcast and cloudy and a little bit windy, and they had a storm come in, but it cleared up and got nice for the evening practice time. Excellent. So that was over the weekend. Today it looked pretty decent. All in all, they seem to be enjoying themselves. It's practice day, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody.
I saw that Sparky had put a few videos up, so I'm glad they all made it safely and hoping they have a good time. I'm going to turn the show over to you guys for a minute and go get me a cup of coffee before my cotton mouth gets the best of me. So I'll be back in just a minute.
All right.
So, Bill, did you just get the engine?
Yeah, it just came today.
You're probably anxious to get that on a plane and trying it out.
Yeah, maybe. I went and ordered a Super Clown ARF electric from Brodek. It seemed like that was like the one ARF that they had. And I ordered their electric motor, controller, and timer, just what they recommend. Apparently they have more than one, because I forgot to put down color and they called me today and wanted to know what color I wanted.
So what color are you getting?
Red.
Peter.
Yeah.
How's the Saginaw coming along?
Oh, it's coming along. All right, excuse me for a little bit. I'm a little bit out of it tonight. I went and had a colonoscopy today, so I didn't sleep last night at all.
Oh, fun.
I had to do the prep, and I don't know. I guess all of you guys have already had to do one of those, and you know what that's like.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Just makes you want to jump up and go do it again.
Yeah, so it was like I'm working on absolutely no sleep here, so I'm going to be a little bit zoned out at the moment.
Oh, well, then maybe I shouldn't ask you what I was going to ask you, but I'll ask you anyway. Would you guys that know how to get that workaround to get my password for my other computer?
Okay.
Would you write that down and
Sure.
And just email me on Stunthangar on the PM.
I'll send it to you in the PM. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll send you to the link, and then of course, whatever all the information will be on that page. How you need to do it and stuff.
I appreciate that. That's one of the things I don't know a lot about, is getting into the real inner workings on computers.
And this is basically what this is once you create the bootable USB drive, it just comes up and prompts you and asks you questions. Okay, is this your Windows installation partition? Yes or no? And you type yes and it goes through, and it basically, it really doesn't take any real know-how. Just follow the prompts, and
I guess the knowledge is getting there. in the
yeah.
first place.
Yeah, the deal is that, the reason I know about this tool is there was quite a few times in the course of my career, we had like the IT guy at our office would turn around, and either he'd be fired, or he would move on to another onto another or better opportunity. And then we had a bunch of computers at the office where he would configure the computer, and he would have his administrator's password in there. And if you needed to ever change anything, now of course he's gone, and you don't know what his admin password was. And you'd have to go in and basically wipe out his admin password so people could get back into their machines, or the new guy can come in and start configuring it.
Oh yeah, that would be, yeah, that could be bad.
I mean, we all, we had your own user. We always had our own user pass names and passwords, so we don't have control over our own directories. But in order to get to one layer below that, if you need to actually go in there and change some configuration stuff like security settings or stuff like that, you needed the admin password. That's why I learned how to end up doing that, at least.
Well, your help is appreciated. And have any of you guys been over to watch the live feeds at the Nats or anything?
I saw one video that, what was it, Sparky put up, but I don't think I saw anything after that, because he said it ran out of bandwidth or something. But that was Sunday morning or something. I can't remember now. I'm lack of sleep.
Yeah,
I've been watching them.
have you, Tom?
Yeah.
There's some good things there, and there's some boring things there, isn't there?
And well, one thing is for sure, Sparky doesn't know. He just lets the camera run. I mean, you didn't even. I couldn't figure out who was flying in his video. It's just like people get up and fly, and okay, who is it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's like one of the things, he's got a good shot of the foreground, and the pilot, and you can see almost the tops of the bottom loops.
Yeah.
But you can't see any of the higher stuff. You need, you don't need that much. I think somebody asked him to see if he could orient it a little higher so we can see the tops of the maneuvers.
That's a pretty tough, thankless job.
Isn't it though?
At the Nats. I mean, if you kind of put yourself in Sparky's situation,
oh yeah,
I don't know if you'd want to do that,
Oh, I agree with you. It's like I say, it's kind of a thankless job. And
I was looking at the one with the the judging a little bit, where he was walking through the planes, and thing that struck me is there's some difference between airplanes, of course, how they're finished, but the designs are somewhat different too. I mean, you go to an RC sailplane contest, and you're going to see about 2 or 3 designs that everybody has, Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of thing about stunt, and it always has been this way, is that years back there was a portion where you got points for what was called originality. And so people were encouraged to design new airplanes. And, I mean, an airplane is an airplane. You could take Brett Buck's design and clone that 120 times and give everybody that airplane to fly, and it'd be a very good flyer for them. But it wouldn't experiment out or get into some of the other realms that some of them get into, like Paul Walker's plane this year made it on the front row, and along with Ryan Ziegel. Those are the two front row airplanes for the appearance points. Well, Walker's airplane's got this long nose. It's nicknamed the Anteater because of its long nose. But it's called a Dream On is the name of the airplane, Dream On. And at first I thought it was Howard Rush's because it had a Howard Rush type paint job on it, orange and, the orange and white and whatever. It looked like a Howard Rush airplane. But it was Paul Walker's. I saw him there flying it. Well, that is an electric airplane, and he has gone with a very long nose to balance things. Anyway, it's different than, say, the Ryan's Eagle, which is shared the front row with him. Ryan's Eagle looks more like a traditional pipe airplane. So anyway, that's why you notice that there's so many different types and styles and designs of stunt planes at a meet, is because guys are kind of encouraged to come up with their own idea, their own best shot at creating a good, strong, winning aircraft. I mean, you could buy any of Randy Smith's designs and fly those and do well with them. They're very well designed and engineered. Several of them are. But where's the thrill in that? I designed my own because I get as big a thrill out of designing it, working out the various areas, and hopefully come up with a successful. At least it doesn't crash on the first flight plane. Tom, you've experienced that. You know what I'm talking about. And I know Rusty has.
What, they designed his own plane, or it didn't crash the first time it flew?
Yeah. I think probably like me, he's probably done both.
No, I was just kind of like, I would have liked to know. I know it's a thankless job, but I would at least like to know who was flying. And I'm gathering that I think it was a yellow colored airplane that crashed on Sparky's video. That was Mike's.
That was Sam.
Oh,
that's okay. Mike's son. Yeah.
And then now that you're saying it, and that you mentioned it, and I remember seeing the scores, I kind of like put two and two together. But at the time I was looking at it, it's like, oops! So somebody went boink, and I had no idea who it was.
Yeah, it's sad to see that because he was doing actually pretty good until he got towards the end there. He started having, I think he had to bail out of the vertical 8, and then he come around and went into the overhead 8, and he lost it on the.
I couldn't figure out how it happened. All of a sudden, he was doing fine, and looking, I'm watching. Next thing I know, it's like I turned my head or something, and the plane was like boink, it was on the ground.
Well, remember, the wind was blowing there at that particular time. And I think he pulled up, on the upwind side, and it came in on him, and he lost control. And, he didn't let it get back far enough behind him to get tension back again. That's kind of what you got to do. It's back in the old days, we used to do the wing over, we'd free flight, over the top quarter of the wing over. And you got to kind of do that sometimes in the wind. Get it when it gets back behind you. You got the wind giving you tension again, and you can fly it. But anyway, I don't know exactly what happened, but I felt really bad for him. He's going to be flying some speed ships and a jet ship and.
I saw the pictures. They had like a whole ton of stuff they loaded in.
Oh yeah, they're there to have fun.
Yeah, I hope we get some good video from combat, because that's what the Lonskys are there primarily for, and they're good at it too. So I want to see them fly and hopefully bring home some trophies.
Especially young Sam.
Yeah.
So we had our 42nd wedding anniversary, and then my wife's birthday was Saturday.
Oh, our anniversary is tomorrow.
So you had to wait till you turned 16 before you could get married, huh?
And,
No, we
and
weren't married that young.
tomorrow will be our 36th wedding anniversary.
Well, I got to figure out.
We were
I'm
having a wild party starting up about this time of the evening 36 years ago today. And that one went off. Man, that was quite a party. I blew both channels of my amplifier at the same time during the middle of Rick Derringer's version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, and it was a Kenwood, Kenwood powerhead, nothing but a couple of meters and a couple of big knobs, and so I ripped that sucker apart at 2 o'clock in the morning and started cutting wires and got the soldering iron out. It had just blown a couple of fuses, but I had to dig between the two power driver circuit boards to get to them, and I had to make some new ones. I stripped a piece of lamp cord and took one strand out of each one and wrapped them in there and put it back together and turned it on and started playing it and watched them, and they got red, 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 or red, or red, or white, white, white. And I'm like, stop, stop. And then the resistance must have gone up at a certain point and they just stopped heating up. And that amp played for years after that before I ever replaced those fuses again. That was funny how both of them went at the same time.
yeah.
And funny how they came back to life almost blowing too, but when they got to a certain point, I guess the resistance rose and they quit heating up and settled out, and probably not very good uh, for best high fidelity, but they worked. They kept us in music for the rest of the night.
If those had been solid state, they probably would never got them back. They would have gone hot and cooked themselves.
That was solid state amp.
It was.
Yeah.
I thought you had tubes.
That was a Kenwood solid state 155 watt dual 2-channel amplifier.
What was glowing? I thought you said the tubes were glowing.
The fuses.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the fuses to the power stage, to the power amp, I should say.
Okay.
And they both blew. I'm surprised they were so synchronized because different music's going through different channels, but I think it was primarily the drums that took them out, because that's a drum intensive song.
Well,
about the same drums were going through both channels at the same time. So
when you got the bass full on and turned all the way up, yeah, it'll. when the furniture jumps around the house to the drum beat.
When the paint's peeling off the walls, yeah.
Yeah.
When the curtains are blowing.
Yeah.
I saw Bill had an airplane in his hand.
Old picture? When the advertisements for amplifiers, and that guy sitting in the chair going like that. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah,
it was
I do. Yeah.
I believe that was from Maxwell audio tape.
Whatever it was, it was cool.
I was watching one of my automotive shows the other day, and they were resurrecting an old car that had been built for shows with a high-end powerful sound system, and somebody could sit in the driver's seat. They had a couple of women sitting in the front seat, and they would turn the volume way up, and their hair would stand up and blow. It was moving that much air. It's amazing. And I've seen them going down the road with the chrome vibrating on the side of the car. It's stupid, really, but hey, whatever floats your boat.
You wonder how long
your eardrums.
Yeah.
You wonder how long their hearing's going to last.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Bill had an airplane in his hand there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did quite a bit of flying this weekend, and last evening I was flying my Stuntman electric, and I did up to 3 consecutive loops. They didn't look very pretty, but I got to do 3. But
Oh, we got another tube, another tab open in the background. Let me make sure I don't.
I think Peter might have.
Yeah, I dropped out. I came back in.
Okay,
When he came back in, there's an echo.
still is.
Oh, wonderful.
Hello, hello, hello.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Standing by for Bill.
Okay, I'm going to mute my mic and tell me if it's still there.
Okay,
Test 1, 2, 3.
testing. Yes,
Yeah.
I still hear it. Test. Test. Test.
Peter, do you have YouTube open?
Okay.
Nope.
Let me mute my mic. Make sure it's not me.
Test. Test 1, 2.
No, yeah, when
Still have an echo.
I don't hear it when Sparky muted his mic. I don't hear it no more.
Rusty.
Oh, I muted mine.
Rusty, yeah.
I muted mine, and we still had the echo. So
Here, I'll mute
I'm
mine.
still muted.
hello. Yeah, it's there.
I don't know where it's coming from.
Well, we've had worse. Whoa, that's pretty bad.
so anyhow, I flew my Dewey Bird with the Baby B. And I was trying to do loops with that. And I crashed the first 3 times. I was over the tall weeds. And then the fourth one I made it. I had put a quarter in the bag for weight because it seemed like it was too nose heavy. And then I taped on a nickel too, and then it seemed like it was tail heavy. It was really twitchy, and then I was having trouble on the motor run on the last flight. But I weighed both planes, and the Dewey Bird with the 049 is actually 20 grams lighter than the electric, but it sure don't fly as well. I have to believe that my motor just isn't putting out, good enough or something. Any ideas, or the Stuntman's a better design, or?
Oh, I think has the Stuntman got a built-up wing or a flat?
They're both flat.
Is the Stuntman's wing in the more centered?
Yeah.
More centered. That might marginally have something to do with
Hold
it.
it up a little higher, Bill. Yeah.
And here's
the flat wing, nice wide wing. And Dewey's kind of swept back, but
Where's the balance plane on the Dewey?
should be right near the front lead out if you hold it on the wing tips.
Oh, wingtip. Yeah, that's about where it is.
Yeah, maybe that engine's not putting out enough power for you.
Yeah. And then I think I had a a 6.3 prop on it, and people were saying, "Oh, 5.3 or 5.4 is better."
I prefer a 5 or a 5.5, 3 for those size planes, but a 6.3 is not terrible.
Uh-huh.
If you just want to take it easy and fly, a 6.3 should haul it if you're not going over 30 or 35-foot lines.
I've
I
got
like lines. How long
30.
is your line? 30. Okay. You ought to be okay with 6.3 prop with that. That's how a lot of those planes are designed with that set up in mind. And 6.3 provides pretty good thrust, even though the engine doesn't turn as fast.
But the thing I'm learning with doing the loops, I've just been concentrating on that, is you got to do it smooth. There's that tendency once you get over the top and inverted, you jerk too hard. But if you do it right, it can come out of the bottom with just hardly any up pressure at all.
That's
if you
right.
do it right.
Yeah, and when you're going on your upside, if you just back off and let it climb rather than hold hard up, it'll get more altitude. So you're flying with a lot more air underneath you when you come around that bottom again. Once you learn to do a loop, you'll understand, and you'll be saying, "Well, what was that? What was so hard about that?" But you just got to learn to fly it through the loop rather than yanking and hope. That's my favorite term for it.
You might want to look at getting a stuntman or something with a built-up wing in a half A size if you're going to learn how to do it on a half A.
Yeah.
Get something
That's
with
what
a
I
built-up
bought my
wing.
little jumping bean for. I purpose bought that plane to learn to do loops, and it actually was the first plane I learned to fly a loop with, as opposed to yanking a loop. And then I got pretty good at it. Went back to the Stuntman 23 and shortened the fuselage, not by choice, by necessity. But that turned out to be a really fun plane to fly after I shortened that fuselage. I put the stab 1 inch behind the main wing, and boy, it turned into a hellacious little stunt ship, more like a combat ship. I didn't know it at the time.
Bill said he ordered a clown, so
that'd be a good plane. Yeah.
Yeah, that probably will remind you of a ringmaster, I guess. Is that right? Do y'all agree with that?
Designed by the same guy.
Pat Kinnear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the electric ARF, 38-inch wingspan.
Shiny tips.
this is the kind of the first plane that I was able to do loops and things. The first half A plane I had was one of those Cox planes, and that was pretty much level flight.
Is that a little Satan? Is that a little Satan?
Yeah, it's a little Satan.
Yeah. I love my little Satan.
Level flight if you were lucky.
I love my little Satan. The loops are bigger than they should be, but I think that's probably because I've got maybe too much length to the booms, and maybe should shorten them up where the stabilator is mounted. I don't know. I hadn't tried to adjust it, but other than that, it's a lot of fun to fly, and it's a long time. That was my first scratch build, actually, is the Little Satan half A plane.
We used to teach a lot of guys how to fly control line and do inverted and loops, things like that, on combat kittens and little Satans over tall grass. You can't hardly destroy them at all. So if you dork them in, you don't really hurt them. and your learning curve is really quite fast with those planes. Yeah, they're combat planes, but they will do the loop, and they will allow you to fly it through the loop.
Might as well start off with a plane that'll do everything you'd want to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
loop and fly upside down and everything. Is a
I
combat kit in
learned
one of
back-
those dual kits? Does a combat kit come in a box with 2 planes in it?
Yeah.
Back when I was in high school, when I was flying control line, and when I went to the 35 powered, it was a Ringmaster. That's when I really started to learn, and I
Yeah.
think the power of the bigger engine makes a big difference also.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, like I learned first learned how to fly a loop. Did my first successful loops on a half-A plane, the All-American Boy, which is a sheet wing, mid-wing type thing, and actually quite maneuverable. It's only like $1.99 for the kit back then. and then I went to then I went to a Sterling Mustang, and that's where I learned how to really do it. You know, with a McCoy 35 on it. The bigger planes did fly better and were easier to learn on, but it was that little plane that got me over the hump as far as making, learning how to do the maneuvers and be able to successfully do them.
It's funny how that Mustang, although it's a little bit bigger plane, how it closely resembles a half-A in its flying characteristics.
Yeah. The Yak 9 was also real popular with the guys I flew with.
Yeah. Echo came back. What changed? All of a sudden, boom, it came back.
Okay, that's me because I unmuted my microphone. Guess what? What the heck is it?
Try turning your speakers down, or try going in your settings and turning your microphone input down a little bit. Or you can use headphones, but I hate using headphones if I don't have to. They distract me too much.
All right, is it back? Is it gone?
No, it's gone now.
Okay, I had another browser window open. I guess that's
Okay. I can barely hear a little bit, but not enough to even worry about.
That's strange.
Doesn't Brodock have a half-A version of the Nobler?
They've got something. Oh no, I was about to get confused. I was thinking of a Schuster. I don't know.
I know they got a 15 size version of the Geeski Nobler. Whoa, I'm talking to myself. Hi.
That goes back.
Yeah, we got major echo now.
The Geeski Nobler 15 size, and that's a pretty good flying little airplane. And once you get to where you can, if you don't want to go to a full 35 size, you can go to that 15 size Cub, or there's several 15 size airplanes that John had me draw up, and he did it because he's coming out with the 15 and 20 Brodock engines, and he wanted planes for them to fly. But those little planes are a good stepping stone up from a half-A.
Tell me what's the difference between a Geeski Nobler and just a Nobler?
Well,
George Aldrich Nobler.
The Geeski Nobler was developed over a long period of time. I think it had a little more wing area. It had a thicker wing. It had little tip rudders on the stab and elevator, which increased the elevator efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
He had other little refinements that he put in there that made it different than the Aldrich Nobler. And he won the Nats several times with his version of Nobler. He flew the Noblers clear up into the I think into the 2000s. He was still flying a version of the Noblers.
So Geeski's got little plates on the tips of the wings and the rudders. I mean, and the stabilizer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like little gates.
yeah, little tip plates that keeps the airflow from spilling off the edge of the
Yeah,
stab,
yeah.
and directs it over the elevator, which increases the efficiency.
Yeah, that's something that we were on here talking about one night with Bob Hunt, and I decided that would be something worth trying on the Twister because it's got flat wing tips already, and it would be easy just to cut out an oversized rib, and glue it to the tips, and do the same thing on the stabilizer too.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, imagine there might be some benefit on the wings, but there definitely is a benefit on the stab. I think the I know it's probably been tried in the past, but they're not doing it on the main wing. What they have gone is they've gone to a raked back tip rather than raked forward or a rounded tip on the wings. The raked back tip tends to keep the flow pattern from spilling off the tip so fast and helps keep it in place.
Is that turbulence what's called a washout?
Well, washout is in the wing itself. That's when you will increase or decrease the.
It's a twist. A twist. Washout is a twist in the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a warp where you.
Washout. There's wash in. One goes one way. The other goes the other way. At the very tips.
But
They
it's
use a lot in
I mean,
RC.
it's purposely built into it rather than just an artifact of the balsa wood. Yeah.
Correct. No, it's you find it more in radio control planes because the purpose is to keep the tips from stalling before the root stalls.
Right.
Free flights all use it.
Back in the day, I remember going to a meeting. Bob Palmer was there, Ed Southwick, and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. Anyway, a bunch of the top named pilots in Southern California with this contest. And Palmer and Southwick had planes there, and they had the first 8 to 12 inches of their wings came to a point at the root, and then morphed into a round as it got up. Their idea was to get the root to stall before the tip, and obviously it didn't work very well because you don't see them being built that way as a matter of principle. But it was an early attempt at a control line stunt to keep the tips from stalling before the root.
I just realized I'd had Tom Rammel's big picture locked in for I don't know how long now. If y'all realize I'm locked on somebody and don't realize it, how about let me know and I'll switch it back to grid view. I do that and forget about it sometimes. When somebody's showing something, I'll click on them to make them big, and then I'll just forget I've done it.
You know what? Speaking of tip stalling, that in control line stunt, one of the things that a designer will do to try to keep the tip from stalling is they'll actually increase the thickness of the airfoil out at the tip. It might be say 18% at the root, and it might be 19.5% at the tip. Of course, the tip is much smaller, so you don't notice it as that is actually thicker because actually the line along the top and bottom edge, still slants down, but it doesn't slant down as far as if it had been the same thickness at the root and the tip. The whole idea is, and they'll also move the high point a little forward at the tip. All of that is to try to help delay the stall on the tip, to help the tip stay flying.
I've seen a lot of what you're talking about on the Mustang wing, on a real Mustang. They're complex wing shapes.
Oh yeah, and the Mustang used a special breed airfoil that they came out with at the end of World War II. What do they call them? Oh, this is terrible. I can't remember what they called them. But the whole idea was that they were designed laminar flow. They were designed for the type of air that would work across the wing to use those. And we don't really use too much of the laminar flow in our stunt ships, though there are some that approach that, I think. I myself, I love using my my CompuFoil program, because I can set all these things up when I put my airfoils in into the program, and I can make changes and see how they go. And meantime, it's designing the whole wing for me. It's kind of a cheat, but it makes a very nice wing. That's how I was able to get the elliptical wing with the worn truss ribs in it, as I set that up on CompuFoil and worked with it that way. Came out with a really nice, worn truss elliptical wing. Somebody told me I couldn't do that. That it wasn't possible for me to do that with a program, and I knew it was not impossible.
Well, there was your challenge. So.
Yeah.
Looks like Bill's got something to show us. What you got there, Bill?
Oh, so here's from this weekend, that half A free flight that I put the rudder only in. I folded the wing.
Oh, yeah.
You can see I had carbon fiber on the bottom, but it just compressed everything. I got video of it. And it came down in a spin with the motor running, and it just barely hit this concrete barrier. So that's kind of what busted this tip up. The fuselage is pretty much okay. But I just questioned this wing to start with. It just isn't a whole lot of structure there.
It looks pretty flimsy.
Now here's a similar plane, and that's got, two sets of spars, and then it's got top and bottom, and it's got some webbing between, doing that I-beam sort of thing. And that just seems like a whole lot better design.
I got to go use the restroom. I'll be back.
Yeah, I saw that video you posted, Bill.
Yeah. You wonder at some of those designs, I mean, they just tried so hard to make it lighter, and it just...
Yeah, you just reach a limit to where the plane can't support it after a while.
Yeah. And I've flown this, probably, 10 times or whatever, or more. And it held up, but then in that one particular flight, it decided to fold,
Yeah, that's what happened to my my older Forerunner, Forerunner profile plane. I was in there bouncing it around. Must have crashed. I guess I crashed it one too many times. I'm doing overhead 8, and it's like, boom. Oh, geez, I only have now I had one wing, now I have 2 halves. And the wing just went Wait. And down it came.
Oh, I've been neglecting the YouTube guys. Sorry, fellas. I have not had you popped out. So let me put you where I can see you, and then I won't forget about you. Like Jeff Riley, Jack Snavely, the usual crowds out there. So my apologies. We got 16 people watching us, and I was totally neglecting my tuber crowd. And park the window there. All right.
Yeah, the Forerunner was a foam wing, and it didn't have much in the way of. It doesn't have much in the way of spars. Basically, the integrity is from the the balsa sheeting. It just folded up in the center. That was kind of fun to watch, actually.
Okay, and Charles Carter's out there with the tubers tonight. Yeah, Charles, Jeff Riley, Jack Snavely, and a bunch of others who aren't typing anything yet, but there are 16 of them total. So good. And I like it when Charles is out there because he's got moderator powers and he can fend off the trolls if somebody sneaks in and says something nasty, and if I don't notice it. It does happen from time to time. What you working on, Pete? You got your mic. I know he's got his mic muted. It's coming along, slowly but surely. Don't forget you got your microphone muted.
I'm just cleaning up right now, cleaning up the cutout for the engine bearers here. So that's what I'm working on now. So I can turn around. And right now, the Aero Tiger sticks out too far in front, so I have to move it back a bit. So that's why I'm just cutting out this extra little bit here.
Hey, Phil Bailey just showed up. How you, Flip? How you doing tonight? Flip, that's short for Phil.
Still have to fill that.
Flip Bailey. As opposed to Flip Wilson. Y'all remember Flip Wilson, don't you?
Yeah.
The devil made me do it.
He was the devil made me do that, wasn't he? Yeah, we went through a fad, must have been a 6 or 8 year fad where stand-up comedy was popular. Steve Martin had a show, George Carlin, Flip Wilson, Fred Sanford. Lots of people did a lot of stand-up on regular primetime TV. I used to enjoy that.
Yeah, these days they get their HBO specials.
Yeah, that's right.
Bill, did you do a video on some exercise equipment?
No.
Oh yeah, and here come the judge. That was John Skukalek. Threw that in. Here comes
A
the
lot of
judge.
bike riding, but no exercise equipment.
Okay, I saw a YouTube video had the same guy with the same name as you.
Oh.
So I was just wondering.
I did another video from this week, and I was slope soaring. I got a new foam glider. And the thing that I notice is how uninterested people are in model airplanes. You know, here I'm flying at this public place, and, there's a dozen people there, and it's like that plane is invisible to them, except maybe the kids.
Peter, can you mute your mic or your mic? Because we're getting an echo right now. Yeah, I watched that video, Bill. It looked like people are just standing around, didn't even pay any attention at all.
God, I remember when we were kids, and it was like, and you heard a glow motor running somewhere. God, you would get on your bike and ride and
Get
whatever.
on your bike. Yeah. Go see where the noise is coming from. The local schoolyard, no doubt.
Hey,
And they don't let
Rusty.
us fly in the local schoolyard anymore.
Rusty,
Yeah,
you been able to get anything done on your Cardinal?
no,
Oh,
I've not been well the past week. Ever since I went out there and got overheated about a week and a half ago. Now I have not been to the shop to do anything. I don't have it in me. I don't know. Not good right now.
well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Hope you get feeling better soon.
I hope so too. I don't like not feeling good.
All right.
I'm all about feeling good, and when I don't, it really is distressing.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed since my wife died, she used to always help. We have a thing she called a sock monkey to help me put on my long socks, the compression socks, because I've
Hmm.
got
Oh,
I've
those
got
are
diabetes. I can't get them on by myself.
they're a bitch to put on. Yeah,
Oh
I've got a
yeah.
kit called a
But
hip kit for doing stuff like that, but don't have a sock monkey.
with her help, it was easy to get them on. But she's gone, and I can't get them on, and I'm suffering from that. You know,
So you don't have a way to get them on now
right?
at the beginning of the day, huh?
Yeah. So I just don't wear them. I can't get them on. You know,
Yeah,
so
but man, when you need those things, you really do need them. I know
I
there's a
do
lot
need
of
them.
young folks watching that don't understand, but sometimes us old guys need those things. Make a big
Oh
difference.
yeah. My if I'm not careful, my legs swell up about twice. My calves, my lower legs swell up about twice the size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of flying. We had some pretty calm weather, and so I'd start out, I'd fly my control lines, and then I'd do my RC sailplane, and then in the evening I'd go back to control line again.
Well, Bill, I want to ask you this: if you hadn't run across us, would you even have control on the brain at all right now?
Yeah, I had started flying again, but I feel like it's made it so much more interesting.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like with all the models, it's just like I like learning new things, and I like the theory behind it, and the challenge of it, and how to improve. And I guess I really realizing, that there's more to the trim of a control line and
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
aerodynamics than
You
I
were
ever
surprised.
dreamed of.
I remember you were saying how surprised you were one night when we got into talking about trim, and you didn't realize how much there was to it. And I think all that stuff's big fun too.
Well, they truly can be rocks on a string if all you want to do is go round and round.
Yeah.
But if you want to do anything besides go round and round, you got to get past that rocks on a string, and you've gotten past that, so you realize that there's more to it. A lot of people never reach that. They disparage control line thinking that's what we're flying, rocks on a string.
Yeah. Talking about rocks on the string, little Sam Leinke, I say little because back from the time he was 3 feet tall, I don't think I have ever seen him walking around where he didn't have something tied to the end of a string, swinging it around.
Well, did you ever glue a horsefly to a string?
No, but I have put one in the freezer just to see how long he could stand it, and then take him out and cut his wingtips off and let him hike around the house for a couple of days.
Oh yeah, what we used to do. Well, actually, they used to have races, horseflies on a string.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Butterflies.
All right. When a fly lands on the ceiling, Does he do a half loop or a half roll?
Half roll.
It'd be a half. Gosh, I don't know, a little bit of both. They got complicated names for RC maneuvers, like a Cuban roll. What's a Cuban?
Cuban 8.
Cuban 8. Yeah, what's that?
Cuban 8 is you come up,
Roll in between the loops.
as you get here, as you're heading down, instead you roll upright.
Oh,
Then you're doing an inside on this side. You roll upright. You're doing an inside on this side.
gotcha. Okay.
The
Can't do
image
that with a control line airplane.
Can't do it with a control line airplane. If you do, something's wrong.
Yeah, something's going to get tangled.
They actually did high-speed photography of a fly landed on the ceiling. And they stick their front feet out, grab the ceiling, and then flip upside down. That's how they do it.
So they're acrobatic.
Yeah.
I guess they got if they got suction pads on their feet or some kind of a sticky material.
They can grab onto it. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I don't think it's suction. I think they grab onto the little porousness in the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a half roll. Son of a gun.
Well,
it'd be cooler if they did a half roll. You know,
they're pretty good at it.
You know, my image of control line flying, it's flying in a dome. You know, you got this dome area that you're confined to.
Yeah, a half a dome. Well, that is a full dome, I guess.
Unless you're standing on a high tower, you know. Then you'd have almost a full dome. There were some guys
get slack in your lines.
There were some guys at I think it was at a world championship. Some of our flyers that got out there late one night, and they stood on the balcony and they did wing unders.
Yeah, I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
How'd they get started?
You got me.
Out there and
you got me.
Prevent hitting the building.
You might be able to get your next door neighbor to launch it for you out on his balcony.
You know, that probably is how it happened. I don't know if that was Hungary. Did they have world championships in Hungary?
Yes, maybe. There were.
I don't know.
Yes.
What year was that? Do you remember, Peter?
That I don't know, but yeah,
I think that was a Paul Walker story.
Oh, what? Paul Walker? No, this is way before him.
Was it before that?
Yeah, this is back in Gialdini's day. He's the man that first told me about it. So that'd be 64. That's when he first went to the Worlds. I think it was 64. Yeah.
So I've got a question that I'm sure that probably won't be solid answer, but you know, in a stunt contest, how fair is the judging? I mean, can somebody really tell how good a maneuver is compared to somebody else's maneuver accurately, or
it's a very human involvement thing, and yeah, it's hard to do, but consistency is the main thing you look for. If a judge
down, you know, down pointing, and the fact that the small first loop and the large second loop is another large deduction, and coming out at the bottom, some of them come out too low and then they do this, you know, coming out. They learn to watch for certain things.
Yeah.
So the answer would be, yeah, they're the better judges are pretty good.
Uh-huh.
And you can, if you make a study of the, of the shapes and the intersections, and realize that that's what they're most looking at, because that's what's easiest for them to see. If you perfect your shapes and intersections, you can see your scores go up quite rapidly. You
Yeah.
get to the point where you up the top echelons. Usually there's only a half a point to 1.5 points difference between first and second and third, and that's pretty darn tight. That's very close. You got to really watch it. Now, on the other side of the coin, there are some judges who have their favorites.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
And their favorites get treated with a little bit lighter touch than the run of the mill. And I experienced this. I think I've talked about this, but I put up a flight on the first round. I was like 10 or 15 points ahead of another guy who was more local than I was. And I had two judges. One of them was, well, both of them were well known. One of them was a well known and former national champion. And the second flight, he was within my score. He judged my score within 5 points of my first flight. The other judge, though, I was over 100 points difference between my first flight score, between my first flight score and my second flight score. In other words, he judged me a negative 100 points or plus compared to my first score. And of course, that took me from first place all the way down to sixth place.
Yeah. That's the worst flaw in our sport, is the consistency of the judging, the difference in the judging.
Well, and I don't know. There's one of two things happened, in my opinion, on this. Either he got the judging sheet mixed up and he put somebody else's score on my sheet, you know, it was an accident, or he purposely didn't want me to beat this other fella who was very well known and possibly a friend of his, because he wanted winning. Okay.
I hate to think that's the case, but
I do too. I would like to think that it was an accident. I should have challenged it. I didn't. I didn't know much in those days about challenging things when they're that obvious, because there was an obvious something was wrong. You know, because the other judge judged me within 5 points of my first flight, and he was 100 points plus difference. So anyway, there was something amiss there, and I should have challenged it.
kind of like in the Olympics with ice skating, the Russian judge and the French judge, you know.
That's subjective judging, you know.
Yeah.
That's why combat flyers like combat, because you either got this much airtime, or you got to cut, or you got to kill.
Yeah.
And in speed, it's all on the stopwatch.
Mike Leinke talks about that. Either you got a cut or you don't have a cut. You got time or you don't have time, and whatever else they judge.
Yep. So,
hey, Flip, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Finally, I had a heck of a time getting in tonight for some reason,
Did you
but I
really?
finally got here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
What
My
kind of
iPad,
problems was it giving you?
it just did not want to go to the stunt forums. I don't know what the heck was going on.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm new with this thing, so I'm still kind of figuring it out as I go.
Well, new or not, computers act that way sometimes. So
yeah, I got it on my telephone. I was listening to everybody, but I'm telling you what, it was a challenge tonight.
well, did you pay your video dues?
Did I what?
Pay your video dues.
Probably not. I'm a cheap bugger. I don't pay anything I don't have to.
There's no video dues. They're just
I know.
yanking your change.
Yeah. I forget to do the little things sometimes, like pay the underhanded people you have to pay under the table to make these magical things work. But you know about electronics, anything electronic, I don't care. You can figure it out to the nth degree, but the fancier they make it, the easier it is to gum it up.
Yeah. It's a love-hate relationship with electronic devices.
It really is. And one thing I learned the hard way as a technician, when the smoke gets out, the magic's done.
Yeah. You can't put it back in.
No, you can't get the smoke. Try as you might, you can't get the smoke back in that little son of a gun. It don't work. Oh me. How is everybody tonight?
Pretty
We're
good.
okay for a Monday night. I'm feeling a little slow today, but you guys always give me a great pickup that I've needed it all day. I appreciate that.
Well, I tell you what, I started to call you today just to see what in the world you were up to. I heard you going to be working on that Thunder Chicken or Cardinal. I keep wanting to call it a Thunderbird for some reason, but on that Cardinal, I'm looking forward to seeing you get that thing going.
I'd have been sleeping if you called me today because I'm so wiped out after dialysis. Once I get something to eat and take a nap, I Z out until 6 o'clock and really don't want to wake up then, but I got to get up by then, else I got to.
Rusty, I think everybody I've talked to today has had a rough time today. Everybody in our part of the country. Good to see you in here, Charles. Everybody's had headaches and everything else. This must be this crazy weather from this darn storm. But my wife and I both got up dizzy this morning, and I don't get dizzy, but I was dizzy this morning.
I've just felt like a weakling all day. Can hardly.
It's got to be the weather. It's got to be the weather because everybody's been saying that today.
Maybe. I generally love hot weather, but I didn't get a chance to get out in it at all today. I just slept the day away. But if you want to call me, Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends are the best time to give me a ring just for a casual chat on the telephone. I'm usually good to go those days.
All right. I'll have to remember that. I tell you what, though, all this crazy weather, I don't know. I've always said I like the summertime a lot better than the wintertime. But, after being a lineman for 30 years, I don't miss all that heat at all. Not at all. I'm very happy to stay in my air-conditioned shop and stand on a plane and try to get it ready to go. I got the wing for my Turbo Raven almost complete today. I thought I was going to get it finished, but didn't quite make it. That thing's got 19 ribs on each side.
Wow, that's a lot of ribs.
That's a lot of ribs. And you trying to radius all that thing, trying to get ready to put the first coat of clear on. That is a heck of a lot of ribs. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know what Wendy was thinking.
I do have something between me and the Cardinal project, and that's the Hyper Viper that's on the table. And I do a little bit on it about once every couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll get it out of the way pretty soon and get back to work on the Cardinal. I'm really looking forward to building that Cardinal wing.
Oh, it's fun. It's really nice. But I had a kid come out to Hobby Park with a Hyper Viper and wanted me to fly it. And him and his dad were tuning it up, and he said he couldn't get more than 4 laps on it. I couldn't figure out why not. It looked good. I looked at it, and everything was nice and straight, and it was pretty. So I'm looking at this thing. I said, okay, I'll try it. They had it
on a plastic one or a
42-foot lines. 42-foot lines now. But I don't know what prop he had on that thing. I should have looked, because when he wound it, he got that thing started. Just before he let it go, he reached up there and gave that thing a good tweak. It took off. I haven't turned that fast since I flew mouse racers in the 80s. That thing about screwed me in the ground. I thought you was going to stun it, not at a 2-second lap time. Good grief.
Yeah,
man, I couldn't wait for that tank to run out.
My Hyper Viper's a laser cut wooden one replica, and
that'd be neat.
It's a nice little plane. I'm looking forward to getting it. I just gotta get off my lazy butt and get it done.
Only thing I can tell you for certain, it will turn great big lazy 8s.
Yeah,
because that's the only way I stayed standing up. I've seen the combat flyer sitting, and he's looking over here, and his plane's over there, and he's doing big figure eight. You've seen him in Huntersville. flying that little half-A job, and he just keeps
Yeah, they
spinning
don't even
around.
have to look at the plane. They'll look at you and smile and
Yeah,
or
I'm sitting
yawn.
there. I'm saying, you guys are crazy. So but I had to resort to doing that because I couldn't keep up with that blasted thing. I don't know how they fly those things. You know, when we were young, I flew half-A's and didn't think nothing about it. Little Satans, buck and a
Yeah,
half, take one out, take a week and build it, take it out on the weekend and combat it. If you tear a hole in it, patch it, have it ready for next week. Fly fast, didn't think anything about it. But nowadays, I like 525 just fine.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm telling you. But I want to see you flying again, Rusty. We got to get you back on the handle.
we do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one reason that the Hyper Viper is at the top of the list because I feel like when I get out there, if I can't keep up with it, I can at least stand there and
Yeah.
fly it out in front of me like that.
Yeah. Well, all you got to do is do like we got two guys to fly with us now that they'll get out there and you watch them go about 6 laps and all of a sudden they're going, somebody
Yeah,
better get in there and get the handle right quick.
yeah. You need to learn, and just like me, I mean, you need to learn to be able to save yourself when you start getting dizzy.
We got one guy that I don't know if he's ever come. Bless his heart, he tries so hard, but he absolutely he gets drunk in about 2 laps and he does not want to admit it. And I said, if you ever start doing maneuvers now, because when I take a long layoff, it seems like if I take a long layoff, I don't fly for a couple of months and I go back out there. When I take off and do my 3 inside loops and go inverted, that's 6 laps, man. By the 5th or 6th lap, I'm starting to get a little hello,
Yeah.
I'm ready for the outside loops. But the rest of the pattern doesn't bother me. But those inverted flight at 4 feet, just for some reason, I start getting dizzy. But after that, everything's fine. But some of these guys I don't know, man. They just have an awful time with it. Charles, whatever that is behind you, that's pretty. I like that.
That's a primary force.
I didn't think they were that big.
Yeah, it's pretty big. This
Wow.
has a Fox 40 on it.
Well, Silver Fox?
I don't know Foxes that well. To know what a Silver Fox is.
Well, Silver Fox was one that Lou Woolard built. And
I don't know.
anything that Lou put his hands to, that was an excellent stunt motor. That man could build. I don't know what he did, but I've got several motors for sale right now, but none of my Lou Woolard stuff's for sale. That stuff I'll keep till I croak.
Yeah.
This stuff just ran too good. Tom Dixon builds a fine motor, and I have a Tom Dixon Fox 40. But if I had to sell one of them, the Dixon 40 would have to go because I'd keep the Lou Woolard.
Wow.
I don't know what Lou did, and I think the world of Tom Dixon. Don't get me wrong, but Lou Woolard just had something. He was doing something to those motors nobody else was doing.
He published exactly what he was doing in Stunt News, all the diagrams and everything.
I heard that. I've never found them, but I have heard that. I'm gonna find them one of these days. But
go on the Pampa site, and they've got almost all of them up available now. You can download them. So go in there and look through, and you'll find it. It was a whole article by Lou Woolard on the Silver Fox.
That's cool. I'll tell you what, he could sure build them. He built me a Fox 35, and that's the best running 35 I've ever had. I've got I think 4 of his 40s. Then he did me a 51 and a 51 and an old Aldrich 40, the big case Fox 40. Great big thing. And that one's a sad story. Those 2 motors were in a box together and came here, and somebody got into my mailbox and got it. And I now know who, because the kid had a problem and he took a bunch of mail and he put it under the crawl space under their house. When they moved, they found the packages and brought me those motors. They were corroded looking and looked awful.
Oh.
But Lou did send the motors and they did get here. And I had told Lou I never got the motors, so I never gave him the $100. Now I feel terrible because the motors
Oh,
did
yeah.
come, but Lou's gone, so now I feel awful. But you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. But anyway,
Right.
I also found a set of plans somebody had sent me, and Gordon, and he sent me a second set to the Pathfinder. The first set was laying over there, and it was, if you've ever seen paper that's been damp and it just turned to one piece of paper, that's what it was. It was a
Wow.
mess. I don't know how long it's been over. The kid just had a problem, and anyway, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Oh, it's unfortunate.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is. But because I mean, of all the people that I would never have wanted to do anything to harm or bother or upset or anything else, Lou Woolard was. I met him at a contest at VSC, and I was having problems with a motor. And he come over and he said, "Who built that motor?" I said, "What do you mean built the motor?" I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. He went to his car and came back and said, "Put this on that plane and try it." Oh, man. I said, "Lou, you don't want this motor back, do you?" He says, "Well, I mean, I can sell it to you." I said, "How much is it?" "I will buy it." And I was a Lou Woolard fan ever since. Still am. But
Wow.
Yeah, I got a friend from out that way, Ron Cribbs,
yeah,
lives in Oklahoma, and he's met Lou Wooler. Do you know Ron?
I've
Have
met
you
him a
met him?
couple of. I met
Yeah,
him. I don't know him real well, but I enjoyed talking to him.
he flew Lou's motors.
Yeah. Tom Looper was the one who turned me on to him initially, but I knew of the motors, but I didn't know how to get a hold of Lou. So then I met Lou at VSC. Tommy told me we'll meet him at VSC in a couple of weeks. Well, we got out there and met him, and he was a character. I met him and met well, I'd already met George Aldrich, but I met George Aldrich again, and I met just a lot of people. Ed Southwick, some really neat people that most of them unfortunately aren't with us anymore, but just some great people. And I met that old Santa Claus sitting there. Met Santa Claus sitting there, and
Yeah,
he had his Pathfinder LE out there, and that thing, I just was in awe of that. I said, "Well, it ain't classic legal, but that's a sharp looking airplane, and it really. I want the plans to that thing."
Oh yeah, as soon as I find where I've got them, I'll get your address and send you a set.
Oh,
That's
Rusty knows.
Gordon Delaney's design, you know.
Oh yeah. He's Gordon. Gordon is for a guy that's a combat guy and flies stunt. He says he just flew stunt as something to do. He sure did come up with some good airplanes. I
He's
think
been flying since he was a young man.
yeah. I asked him. I said, "If you're a combat flyer, how do you explain the too much? Because that is one huge airplane." I'd love to build one, but you would have to commit your entire winter's building budget to that one airplane.
Yeah.
Man,
what does a too much look like other than obviously a big
it's a
plane? Is it
twin.
a open canopy type thing?
No. It looks kind of, now this is real loose, but it looks kind of like it's a twin engine
Nobler
looking thing, yeah. And it is, man, it is large. I mean, it is seriously large.
I think
Yeah, it's a large plane.
I think the
Gordon,
span on the stab and elevator is about 30 inches.
yeah, the first time I saw it, Gordon had it sitting on its wingtip, and he was hiding behind the airplane. The airplane was bigger than Gordon, and I said, "Are you going to fly that thing?" I went over and looked at it, and I thought the limit was 60, and this thing got 235s on it. I said, "Gordon, how are you going to hang on to that thing?" "Oh, it's no problem." You see Gordon flying, and he's leaning back about 45 degrees.
Flying on his heels, yeah.
Yeah, he flies like the guy from Philly Flyer. I can never remember his name.
Yeah.
Dan Banjock.
Yeah, I've seen Dan flying on his heels more than once. That big flight streak and the pulse jets too.
Good grief. That pulse jet at night. Now that was, I didn't know whether he was going to set the woods on fire or what, but that thing was something else. If you ever seen a combination of a stunt pattern and a fireworks show, that's it. That's
a good description.
Yeah, it was something else. I stuck around to see it that night, and I was glad I stayed. That was fun. That was really fun.
It's interesting because for years people were designing stunt airplanes, and
Mhm.
they designed them around a 35. And so you'd wind up with 70, 68, 70, 75, 80-inch wingspan, and way more power. I mean, way more power than you needed.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until we got when Paul Walker came out with his B-17
Yeah, I
stunner,
saw that.
he had 415s on there. 415s. Now that was a big airplane. That was as big as the Too Much.
Mhm.
And 415s would haul that thing around just fine. And that's why we wound up on the Twin Pathfinder. We used a full-size full-size Pathfinder, you know, the standard 40-size Pathfinder
Mhm.
with a pair of 15s, because
I
we
always
saw
wondered
what the
about that.
15s would do on Paul Walker's B-17, and it worked out. It worked out well. 20s would be as big as I'd go, you know, but
Well,
a
I
lot
was
of people go 25s. That's too much, in my opinion.
Well, it probably is, but it's all cut and ready to put together. So it's probably gonna be 225s now. And I put 4-pitch props on it if I have to.
Well, the
And,
thing is you got that little needle valve there too.
oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
I always cut it back, but you can't add to it if you don't have it. But we sometimes go up pretty high up to fly. So I thought, well, it won't hurt. Won't
Well,
hurt to have it.
you know what our altitude here is, don't you?
Yeah, a lot higher than ours. I'm at 980 feet, 998 feet here.
We're close to 5,000 feet.
Yeah, I
I
flew in
looked
Denver.
mine up the other day. I'm right around 300. I think Fort Jackson was about 350. I'm about 275 at my house, something like that. So,
You know, we found an interesting thing out when we trim our airplanes to fly at our altitude.
Uh-huh.
To go down in altitude, we didn't have to do a whole lot. Maybe change the fuel load and things like that, but that was about all we had to do. The planes trimmed out and flew well. But guys that come from lower and come up here, they didn't stand a chance against us, because they'd have it trimmed out to fly at lower altitude, but they couldn't find the magic numbers that, you know, to get it to fly well at higher altitude.
I know the first time I went to Tucson, that was the case. I couldn't figure out what in the world was going on. And Tom Looper finally come up and handed me a undercambered propeller and some other stuff. He said, turn the wick up on it. I was doing I got out there and wasn't thinking, and we'd been putting a piece of fuel line between the needle valve and the barrel.
Right.
There to Venturi. Well, it works here, but when you get out there, you need to either cut the thing down or something, because you got to turn the needle way in. Well, I took off, and the first 2 loops were real nice. Got to do 5. The third one got slower and slower, and finally, I forgot his name, who was his world champion with a Thunder Gazer, walked up to me after the flight, him and Mary Gephardt, and they said, that was impressive. I said, what was impressive? He said, a 4.7 second loop. I said, that thing just hung up there. I didn't think it was ever going to come down, and then I said, oh my goodness, that needle just kept backing out. After that, I put Super Tiger needle valves in everything. No more of these click spring things.
Randy Smith has a really good needle valve that he sells for the Fox 35. Replacement works a treat.
Yeah, I don't fly many Fox 35s anymore, but I do have 2. But I do have a bunch of Fox 59s, about 7 different Fox 59s. So I'm still, to any of you that are like me and purist old timers still do it with Foxes. They just got a little bigger now.
Just takes a little more fuel.
Well, yeah, it does take a little more fuel. And you better get your fingers out of the way of this prop, because this one don't just give you a gentle thump. This thing will take your finger off. But I don't know. Charlie Reeves got me started on Fox 59s, and I'm telling you what, that's a running motor. It's a really good running motor.
You have a big job?
No, sir. I have one cut out downstairs in a box to build, but I have not started it. John, honestly, it's embarrassing. I have 9 airplanes downstairs that need finishing and painting. I love to build. I hate to paint.
Ah,
But I've got 9 airplanes need finishing and painting, and I am made up my mind. I'm not putting glue to balsa on anything else until I finish at least 6 of the 9 that are down there. So
take
I'm go ahead.
15 minutes a day. Tell yourself we're going to put 15 minutes a day in there.
2 hours. Boss's orders.
Ah,
Boss is the little woman.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see you for at least 2 hours when you
That's
go
it.
out there.
That's it. She comes up here and she wants to read and do her crocheting. She wants some peace and quiet. I forgot the word, but she sends me to the basement and says, I'll see you in a couple of hours, get something done. So I have to spend 2 hours a day working on my models. She's punishing me. She's making me work 2 hours a day on my models. And then I work an hour or 2 a day on either the yard or trying to clean up the basement. Any of you that have full basements, if anybody says, do you have any room that I can store some stuff in for just a couple of weeks? Tell them no. Tell them no. My basement is full, and most of it is not ours. It's ridiculous. But it's just I have to kind of walk sideways through part of my basement because a buddy's got a bunch of stuff stored down there. I had to call him and tell him, if you don't come get this stuff, it's going somewhere. This is ridiculous.
The bitch is that, well, my mom had a basement, so a lot of that stuff came to my house, my mom and dad, when they moved.
Mm-hmm.
My brother has a basement, and I got my mom's stuff in my basement, my brother's stuff in my basement, Samantha's stuff in my basement.
Oh, boy.
My stuff in my basement. I'm going to have to build a damn outbuilding to put my shit in.
That's what I'm looking at now. I'm looking to build a 2-car garage to put my bass boat and truck in with a workshop to the side of it, so I got room for my stuff. No, I want to get the dust out of the house. I've gotten a little better at this. Rusty can tell you, I've gotten a little better over the years. I do a lot more sanding, and a lot more sanding means a lot more dust.
Every time I do much sanding, I always think I'm catching a cold the next day.
Me too. I've learned to wear a paper mask. I wear a mask when I'm sanding now, and I built a sanding table, but I can't stand the noise that darn vacuum makes.
Yeah, I just got a redneck sanding table. I got a Coke crate and a box fan that I put on top, and I laid a fan down with a air conditioner filter, 24 by 24 filter in between, and blow it right through that, and it does a pretty good job.
I bet it does.
It picks up the dust.
I bet it does. I tell you what, that's not a bad idea. Really, I've got an expensive, goes in a wood shop that goes overhead, and that's basically what it is. It draws it in.
Like a power hood, yeah.
Yeah, it draws it in from 2 sides and blows it out 2 sides. And you don't want it blowing it out the bottom because it blows everything everywhere if you do. But yeah, that probably would work just fine and be a whole lot cheaper than what this thing was. But I don't know. I amassed a bunch of points in Woodworker Supply, and I had to buy something. So I thought, well, I'm tired of breathing all this dust. I'll try this. It works, but I wouldn't spend $260 for it.
Right.
So anyway, one of the things.
You can take your shop vac that you're using on your sanding table, put it outside and run the hose through the wall out to it. Let it run outside and make all its noise.
That's true.
Inside.
That's what I'm thinking about. But I just bought a help me here. What is the name of it? Something Mark V. Shopsmith Mark V vacuum system.
Oh, no kidding.
It just sits there and hums. It just hums, and it's sucking more air than my vacuum ever sucked.
You know why it hums?
Huh?
You know why it hums? Doesn't know the words to the song.
There you go. There you go. But I tell you one thing: you drop a piece of sandpaper or anything, and mine, the reason it just hums really is because it's out there next to the doors on the vacuum, and my shop's on this end of the house, 50 feet away. So it's not too much, and it's got a door and everything in between us, so I don't hear it too bad. But if you drop a piece of sandpaper or anything of the sort, that sucker 60 feet away, in the basket on the other end of the garage. That's ridiculous. Gets a little carried away once in a while. I think I was fooling with a set of plans to half A the other day, and I mean I wrinkled them all to heck. They didn't go down to 2, but they just about did.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, Charles.
All right, Charles.
Charles, you leaving? Oh,
He said he'd be
Now,
right.
oh, we got a thing locally. The guys are all, I don't know who started it. Wayne Foster, I guess, but they've all started doing 049 sheet planes, sheet wings and sheet bodies. 1/8-inch sheet, no airfoils, no nothing, and build a little scale stunner or scale airplane, and we'll just go out there and fly them and have fun. Well, I love Bearcats. So I did, Sarpolis did a Bearcat and published it in AMA a few years ago. And I bought one of those and I looked at that thing and I said, I mean no disrespect to Dick Sarpolis, but that thing looks about as much like a Bearcat as a Mustang does. So I reshaped it and redid the fuselage a little bit. And the canopies didn't look anything like a Bearcat, but I reshaped it a little bit. Built it, took it out there and flew it, and it flies great. Tom Looper looked at it and he says, Phil, why didn't you just build it the way it was on the plans? Nobody but you is going to know the difference. That's because I know the difference.
I'll tell you what, you couldn't have a better control line name as Looper.
Oh, I'm telling you. I tell you, he's a heck of a pilot. I'm telling you. He can fly a brick. But he built a plane called a Super Duper Looper. that we found we were out in Tucson, and the guy that designed the Humongous, and y'all have to excuse me, most times I can remember everybody's names, but I took a whack to the head a few years ago. Some nights I can't remember my own name. Anyway, he had a plane and he wanted to show Tommy, and he took it out of his van. I remember his van, he called himself the Desert Rat. But he took this thing out of the back of the plane. He showed us this thing, and I said, what is that? It looks really fragile. He says, it's called a Super Duper Looper. Tommy says, can I get the plans? I knew what was coming. So Tommy built the thing, and for some reason never finished it. Charlie Reeves finished it, brought it to Hobby Park and flew it out here, and then we took it to Charlotte, and he flew it at Huntersville and won with the darn thing. That's the weirdest looking little airplane you have ever seen. I mean, it's got I forgot the name of the motor that's on it, but the Venturi comes out the back about 3 inches, it looks like. The needle valve's in the middle of that somewhere. It's a strange looking little thing, but it flies great. Will gave him the motor for it. Will supplied the motor for it.
Really? What kind of motor is that?
I don't remember.
What size? What size?
I think it was a 29. Seems like it was a 29, but it's either an OK or a OK Cub or something like that.
Not a Cox.
No. It's a 29, but it's something like it's an old motor. It's one that could have been an ignition motor, but this one's been converted to glow.
Yeah.
But it flies it. Foster 29. That was it. That's it. But that is a strange looking little motor, and it ran so sweet. I have 2 of them in my collection, and I'm building a stunt wing. Just Roy Trantham loved the stunt wing. And Roy did a lot for me, so I'm building a stunt wing to fly.
Someday you're building a stunt wing once you get your 9 aircraft.
Well, it's cut out downstairs. You're exactly right. It's cut out in the box, and it won't take but a few days to put it together. But it won't be this year. But I wish it was, but it won't be this year. But that's going to be a cute little plane just to have thanks Roy on it. Is all it's going to be, because he did a lot for us. Tom and he did a lot for us, but he was a great guy. I tell you what, every time I see that thing behind you, Steve, it makes me think serious about ordering one. I just love that paint job. It just looks so neat.
What's
that,
Vector? Vector?
The Vector. That darn red and yellow and white just looks so pretty. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, it's a nice looking plane.
Yeah, it is. Steve likes to haunt me with it. That's what it is. Is that one electric? Is that one electric, Steve?
Yeah.
It hadn't moved in a long time up till just now.
All right. There's the red and the yellow. We can change that up. Get back over there.
Oh Lord, he's got the yellow and red. He sure does.
There's
My
the
Yeah.
yellow and red.
Left-handed props and both of them electric. Cool deal.
Those are Brodak ARFs, right?
Yeah.
Are those motors mounted rear mount or front mount?
That's front mount.
Good deal. I had two rear mounts, and I don't think I'll ever do that again.
Hey, Phil, I have a good question for you.
Lay it on me.
You're good friends with Charlie Reeves, right?
Yes, sir.
You see him often?
Twice a year.
Oh, okay.
He lives in Kentucky,
Okay.
Paducah, Kentucky.
When you see him next, tell him
Uh-huh.
hello for me
I'll do it. I'll probably talk to him in the next few days.
and ask him when he's going to build that little German twin.
Little German Swift.
The little German twin.
Twin. Oh, okay. He's working on a German twin for scale.
No, this one was was called Zwei Panzerflug.
Oh Lord, I heard him talking about that. I don't know when he's going to build it, but he was talking about that. Did you give him the plans to that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. He's planning to build it. Or last I heard, he was planning to build it. But Charlie's like me; he's got a lot of projects.
Oh yeah. Well, I built one and it flew great, except my solder didn't hold up on the flap horn, and I no longer build my own flap horns anymore because of that. I lost it about the fifth flight, but it was flying really good, you know. So
Yeah,
I still have the pieces, and it's repairable.
I have a Pinto that I built the flap and elevator horns for. Silver soldered them, and I'm scared to death they're going to come apart. But I couldn't bring myself to build that plane the way RSM designed it. They got a piece of 1/4 inch by I think it's 1/8 inch or 1/16 inch, but it's 1/4 inch wide that goes into the back of the flap. So you got a hole at the flap at the fuselage. That thing goes all the way through the fuselage. It's like 6 inches long, and it's 1/4 inch wide, and it would have to be 3/16 thick because that's what the flaps are. And I mean, that's got an awful hole in the fuselage, and you got it at the elevator and the flap. I said, I can't do that. So I built it with my own horns. I mean, it's a piece of 1/16 and a little piece of brass. Ain't no big deal. But I built my horns and put it in the thing, and it's cute as the dickens, but I hadn't flown it yet. It's all put together and ready to paint, but that's one of the 9.
Well, virtually almost every plane that I built, my flap and elevator horn, using silver solder, has come loose. It's slipped. It hasn't broke. But it's slipped. And
what are you using for silver solder, John?
Stay Bright.
Yeah,
I don't use it anymore.
All I tell you is you got to get it hotter than the gates of heck for that stuff to stick. But
there's not enough silver in it. Why?
Yeah. Well, I now buy mine from Oki Air.
Oki Air. Okay, I'll have to try that.
That's Tom Moore.
Are you using hard solder paste when you're using that?
I'm using what comes with the silver, with the Stay Bright.
Oh, you're using the acid.
Yeah,
whatever comes with it.
Yeah,
that's what I used. The stuff I used to have had paste with it, and that worked a lot better.
Yeah, you almost on stuff like that, you got to use hard solder paste. It looks like baking soda. I don't know what it's made of, but once you put it on there and start soldering, it will glaze and come to the top of the solder joint.
Yeah.
And it keeps the oxygen out or something, and you get a lot better.
I think it's, I used to use that when I was working my first real job out after high school. I had to silver solder these little pins on a machine that I was operating, and they were an extractor pin. And so it was like a white powder, and you'd heat the wire up, drop it in there. So you got to stick it on it, you'd sit it down, and you put straight silver solder on it, and it would bubble up as like glass actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a good joint, but this Stay Bright doesn't work as far as I'm concerned.
Stay Bright's not like it used to be.
No. So I've lost too many planes. I did a Vector and I gave it to a fella and he gave it to another, and Brent Williams wound up with it, and it came loose on him. He lost that airplane.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're probably not getting it hot enough.
Can you use a propane torch to solder with that? Is that what you would use?
What's that?
Can you solder that with a propane torch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them, yes. Some of them, I did it with a 300 electric gun, 350 watt electric gun.
One of those too.
Yeah.
It gets it pretty darn hot.
You got to get it to what, 700 and some degrees, and
yeah, it has to be hot
to get it to flow. And
well, I know
what happens is that it'll, right where the flame hits it, it'll look like it's soldered, but it hasn't flowed any place. And really, when I do my horns, I heat on the opposite side. And then when it's hot enough to melt it where you're touching the solder, you'll know it's hot enough to suck it through the joint to the opposite side. I mean, we cap where you want to make it look pretty, but you always put your heat where you want it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, away from the solder.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's good advice. I found the cheapest thing for me to do was order it from Oki Air. Get exactly what I wanted. It's all welded, TIG welded, cold rolled steel. You know.
Is that who Tom's got doing his stuff now?
He actually bought that part of the business from Tom.
Oki Air. I got to find out about that.
Well, when you go to
I wrote that one down one night while I was taking notes in here.
When you go to Stunt Hangar, there's right at the top of the banner, there's a place you can just click on and take you right to Oki.
Okay. I'll give them a
He's
holler
a nice
tomorrow
guy. I spent about one Saturday, about an hour and a half on the phone with him. He's very well versed in a lot in control line and RC, and the heck of a guy. Nice guy.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Is Tom doing all right, or have you heard?
I haven't heard. I hope he is. You know,
Hope he is too. I just sent him a check, so I hope he's doing well.
He's too young to be, you know.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I heard it. What I heard was his defibrillator had to pop him twice one time, and he went to the doctor.
Yeah.
They said his heart was just worn out.
Yeah.
So that's a shame because he's a heck of a nice guy. Him and his wife both just great people.
Yes, they are.
You go down there and they just treat you like kings.
Wife.
Well, you would have to go to their house, Rusty. She don't come to the contest.
Oh, she doesn't.
But she is as involved in her thing as he is in his. But
What
if you
does
ever
she
go to
do?
Tom's, I don't really know. I know the night we were there, she was playing a board game with a bunch of ladies that came over, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. That was one complicated game. I don't remember what it was called, but she's into that, and she's a crafter, and she's got a craft room that is gorgeous, very, very clean, neat, organized craft room, and she's just a real neat person. But they both are.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom absolutely can teach you more about building in 20 minutes than I can believe.
Yeah. Yeah. He loves building. I don't think he gives a whit about flying, but he loves building.
Well, he can't look up anymore. He says when he looks up, he gets dizzy and falls down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's done flying, but he loves to build, and he loves the people. So he just keeps doing stuff, building for people.
Anniston, Alabama.
Yep. I tell you what, you go through there and you'll learn a lot. But he taught me one thing I did not know. If you build a plane and you put you buy an ounce bottle of CA glue, and you build that airplane and you use an ounce of CA glue on that airplane, it is now an ounce heavier than it was before.
Yep.
You do the same glue joints with white glue, and you've gained less than 1/8 of an ounce.
Yeah.
Because most of the water evaporates.
Right.
Also, if you take a bar of soap and make a little divot in it, and fill that divot full of CA and make a divot right beside it, same side, and fill it full of white glue. Set it on the shelf and wait a couple of days to take it down, and pop those two out of there real carefully. You weigh the two, and you can notice that the CA is heavier than the same thing of white glue. But you take the white glue and bend it in your fingers, and it bends. You touch that CA, and it shatters.
Yeah.
So if we thump one of these planes that we've glued everything together with Zap or whatever,
It
is
cracks
it not
up.
going to come apart? I wondered why a couple of mine came apart in the air. Now I think I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I no longer build with Zap. I build with
Yeah, vibrations and impacts.
yeah. I now build with white glue, and I'll glue a leading edge down, and I'll do the corners or little spots with CA to well, put it down. You know, hold it in place till it dries. Yeah, but basic construction is done with white glue now. I'm done with it. I don't. You don't have to hit me over the head with it for me to figure out the CA is not the answer. So anyway, it's like I say, he taught me a lot in just a few minutes, and I didn't know anything about electric when I went down there. He taught me everything I knew to get started, and then Will Davis taught me the rest of it. And I finally got one I can fly. So the electric's fun once you figure it out, but it takes.
What do you got in electric right now?
The only thing I have right now is a Nobler, and it has a 2820 in it, and 4 cells. It's a Castle Creations ESC and a Human timer.
Oh, okay.
I've got one of these timers I got from Tom that is done in Brazil, but I don't have a vaguest idea how to set it up yet. You got one, I think, but it's got the 3-speed.
The yellow Vector has that one in it.
Yeah.
And the red one's got the Huber, just like your setup.
Yeah.
Same motor, same batteries, all that kind of stuff, propellers.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to figure out how to make that go, because I went and watched Bobby Hunt fly, and when that thing went up, it's flying along at one level, and all of a sudden it picks up speed to go up. That impressed me, but when it dropped speed to come down the backside of the triangle, and then went leveled off and went back to neutral, so it's got 3 speeds. That was impressive. I like that.
Well, the other thing is with this one from Brazil is you doing an overhead 8 or something like that, and you get a wind gust, people lose their airplane.
Yeah.
You hear that thing go, whoa, hit the horsepower, boy, and pull you through it.
Wow. Because
it's looking at how fast, that's why it knows when it's coming down to slow down. It's speeding up too much. Well, it also knows when it's slowing down, it will give it a little bit more juice to.
I guess it's an accelerometer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'd be surprised. You may still not get good points for something like that, but it'll save your airplane.
Yeah, I'd rather have the airplane. I could get the points another day if I still got a plane.
Right. Like Sam Lonke, he doing his overhead 8 and got hit by the wind, and he had a fluttering duck coming down.
Yeah.
It just stalled it out and it quit flying. And they said he was flying really well.
That's on when he started his overhead 8s, wasn't it?
Yeah, when he went up there, the airplane didn't have enough horsepower. That was the one year with Samantha's Vector. She did that wing over, and she missed the wind a little bit and come back across, and it just slowed it down, and all of a sudden it started flying sideways. Boom!
Yeah, I lost a beautiful Oriental doing that down at Tifton with a Golden Oldies contest. The darn wind changed 180 degrees, and everybody said there's no way you could have saved that one. Because when I took off, I was going right, and halfway through it, altogether wrong.
When we were in France, Samantha started her wing over, or she did her wing over. She came down into a dust devil.
Oh, Lord.
In that airplane, it sounded like the motor was coming out of it. And she came out, and we're yelling at her, and I'll be damned if she didn't fly back over it and hit it again.
Oh, Lord.
And that airplane was doing all kinds of stuff, and it powered through. And then we're trying to tell her to, stay over here, and we're watching where it's coming through so she can miss it for the third, fourth, fifth time or whatever. And everybody was really surprised that she had her airplane left after going through that. I mean, it was turning over chairs and everything else.
I tell you what, that is a together little lady. You did something very right with her. I saw her at Brodak, I think, and she impressed the heck out of me.
Yeah, sometimes. We ain't talking right now.
Oh, well, I have 2 daughters too.
Ah, well, that
I
happens.
understand.
I had the honor of meeting her and watching her fly at Huntersville when y'all came down to practice a couple of Aprils ago, and enjoyed that. I'm glad I went.
Yeah, I don't know. She's really smart on some things, and other things, I tell you, I guess she just don't give a shit about.
Steve, female.
Now, we're boyfriends. Here's the deal. Friday night, they go over to my mom's house, which is fine. They go there wearing no mask.
Oh,
And I've already told my mom, don't let anyone in this house without a mask on. I'm tired of living my life trying to protect her. You know, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But then you can't be doing crazy shit, or it doesn't matter. So they go over there. The next day she calls me. 2 people she works with tested positive for COVID. 4 people tested positive where her boyfriend works. And I'm like, I told you. All you do is want to yell at me, whatever. You know, so she ain't talking to me now, but I don't care.
She'll get over it.
There's no need for her to be mad at you for scolding her for that.
No, when she does something wrong and someone calls her out, that's just how she is. You know, but I will call her out on anything that
she's young and hard headed. She'll get over it.
You know,
she loves her daddy. You know darn well. It didn't take 10 minutes to figure out that girl loves her daddy. So don't worry about it. She'll get over it.
You know, and I don't let her in my house. She was over. She was over Friday night. Her and her boyfriend, before they went to my mom's, I found out they didn't say anything about going to me, because I would have given them the deal about wear a mask, whatever, go through the whole spiel. But we were outside, and they were here for about 2 damn minutes, dropping off a big cooler they use for fishing and stuff, and they were on their way. But, you know, I'm like, don't go in the house messing around, because I don't know where you've been. You know?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
We can stay outside and talk and whatever, and you know. But
yeah, outside you can keep your distance, and
yeah,
breeze is blowing, and it's a lot safer than it is indoors.
Yeah, it is.
Right, because it's like I bought her hand sanitizer and told her keep it in your car. So if you come over to my house or whatever, you know, put on hand sanitizer, you know, but they don't have it in their car, so it's like you ain't coming in the house. Don't you have any? I'm like, yeah, I got some, but I definitely ain't going in that house to get it for you, so you can go in there. If you ain't smart enough to keep it in your car, you can just stay out here in the front yard.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're stubborn as the dickens, and it don't seem to get any better.
I just got a new shipment of hand sanitizer today. I have several. I probably got 6 or 8 bottles of it now, just to make sure that I don't run out if it ever becomes unavailable. And another box of masks is on the way. And I sterilize my masks. I keep a bottle of Everclear and a jar, and just put them down in there. Use them 3 or 4 times before I throw them away. Soak them and then hang them up. They dry in 10 minutes too.
Is that what you've been doing over in the corner when you're Everclear? Oh,
yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh.
It takes less, you know, to do the job.
It's amazing how fast that Everclear evaporates.
It is.
It either gets rid of the germs, or you don't give a shit if you get them. One of the two.
That's true. Oh, me.
Well, I don't
Where I live,
take it out of the masks when I get through. I just hang them up.
Yeah.
In the whole county here where I live, we've had like 18 cases since it all began.
Oh Lord.
You know,
Where do you live that's that rural? You can't
out in
have.
the desert,
Oh well, okay. Dry air doesn't transmit it anyway.
in south central Utah.
And
Okay.
South Carolina's just laid up with it.
So is
We-
North
Yeah,
Carolina.
his closest neighbors are rattlesnakes.
No, I might.
Yeah.
I got neighbors. Yeah, I'm in a little town, but you know, like I say, the whole county. I think there's 18 cases, and I think there was only one death, and that was in one of the homes. You know, the care
Wow.
centers, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just
And
most.
our
Most-
county happens to be the hot spot in Michigan.
You know, it's
Yeah.
where we're at. It's a different place.
Last
I
week,
got-
one day, we had 254 new cases in one day.
We had 860 something today.
No kidding.
How many
Jeez,
people?
don't come to Florida. We had over 12,000 today, and we had 15,000 yesterday.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah,
death
it's a
rate?
mess.
Is it going down? I heard the death rate was going down, and the infection rate is up. The death rate is down.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah.
See, they opened Disney World, so I mean, you know, Florida's going to go up.
Your infection rate goes up, and sooner or later, your death rate's going to go up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just glad I live where I live.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the death rate will keep going down because they're getting some of these medicines. They know how to treat it better now.
Yeah.
But it's like I told Samantha back when, you know, she thought she had it before and stuff. She got her bills from the doctors, $1,300. You know, and I said the average cost is $75,000 for anyone who gets COVID. So you know,
grief.
she has like a $6,000 deductible on her health care. I said, you
Oh,
best,
brother.
if you're going to be live dangerous, you best have $6,000 in the bank ready to cover that. You may not die, but it may cost you a lot of money for that fun you're having.
my good fortune.
It's more like I hear that she's going over your mom's house, and it's like, you know, it's not about her getting sick. It's
about
her getting
transmit.
infected, not knowing it, and then passing it on to your mom, who probably may not survive it.
Yeah.
Right.
How many
That-
people do you want on your conscience that you might have infected?
That may sink in a little bit more than, you know, worrying about her getting ill. Is that, you know, just she might end up, you know, you don't want to take that chance, because a funeral is even worse than a $75,000 or a $6,500 medical bill. A funeral is a
Yeah,
lot
really. Really.
Yeah, it really
I
is.
don't want other people's health on my conscience and who they might spread it to in their own family, and it's just a mask up.
I'm
you know.
fortunate. I'm fortunate that I'm a veteran and I get most of my care through the VA. Without
Yeah.
that, I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for them.
I'm fortunate that nobody wants to hang out with me, so I don't have to worry about getting it.
Oh, bull crap. I don't believe that for a minute. Yeah.
I wind up, because it's been over 100 here most of the time, I wind up spending most of my time inside the house, except early in the morning and early evening. I'll go outside.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing though. I come from a family of farmers,
Me too.
and I can't even grow grass.
You smoke it. That's the problem.
I mean, me and the next door neighbor had all this work done. I don't know, it cost us $700-800 or more than that. 2,000 last year and about 800 this year. That's together. So we got it all graded, all done up, seeded, all that. You know, we can't get no damn grass to grow. And I'm like, lucky I'm not a farmer. I'd starve to death. I'd probably look a lot better though.
Lord have mercy.
Holly comes from a farming family. They're agricultural people, but she can grow anything.
Now,
Oh, man.
really, the only thing I can grow, and I don't know why, it has to be the soil here. And Phil will know what it is. Acre peas. They're my
Lord,
favorite.
yeah.
And
Oh, I love those.
cream
Acre
porridge.
peas, crowder peas.
Yeah.
I love crowder peas.
And I can grow a garden of acre peas. And they say they don't grow up here in Michigan. They don't have a long enough growing season and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I should have planted some this year, but we're doing all the other stuff. But last week, me and my mom ate the last bag of peas.
Well, what most of you guys can grow better than I and Tom is hair. Now look at you guys, y'all.
Yeah, not much. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you make up for it in the front. That really grows in a hurry.
I was just talking about that yesterday with my cousin and stuff, and all these guys. We were out at his cottage, and he just got married, and we were all outside and stuff like that. And I got out under the tree, and these guys had their shirts off and everything, and something about suntan. And I told them, I said, "You'll understand one day if you're going bald. The first time you sunburn the top of your damn head."
Yeah.
And that's the worst hurt there is. I said, then it looks like you have mega dandruff after that.
Yeah.
I said, I don't have a hat, so I'm getting under this tree because that sun was beating down yesterday.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Tops of your ears hurt a lot too when you get them sunburned.
Yeah.
Well, I need to go to the dermatologist. I've been kind of neglecting my other health care ever since the COVID-cation started, and need to catch up on a few things I've been ignoring.
I got to go to the eye doctor or the surgeon or whatever, because I had both of my cataracts fixed. And back there in December, when I thought maybe I got COVID or whatever, I can't hardly see out of my right eye now. And I don't know why. It's blurrier than crap, but I hate to go into the eye doctor because of all this stuff going on.
Yeah, it's awful up close and personal when you're face to face with the doctor. Same with the dentist.
I don't know if something went wrong with that cataract lens or what, but you know, that's when I was there. I kept thinking I caught a cold in my eyes and stuff, and that's how it first started.
Oh, you got new lenses?
Yeah,
they replace your lens.
Yeah, because
you
of
might
all
be
the
out of place.
Because of all the soldering and brazing and welding I done in the trade, you know.
Burned your lenses, didn't you?
Yeah, burnt this, and the doctor knew right away. He says, "You a welder?" I said, "Not really." I said, "Consider myself a brazier." I said, "Silver solder and you know, brazing different things and stuff like that." And he said, "Yeah, I can tell because of where you're getting your cataracts, right dead center. That's a sign of a welder. Burns out your lens." He goes, "Didn't you ever wear goggles?" I said, "Yeah, I tried them." I said, "But once you light a unit on fire a couple times, you throw them things away." You know, because you can't see nothing. You got a torch and you can't tell you're hitting a wire or whatever. You know, so we all braze without any glasses. You know, it's one thing being on a bench and there ain't nothing around. But man, if you're in a control panel where they got pressure switches coming in and you got to solder things in, you best be able to see where that tip of that flame's going.
Nowadays they have pretty nice welding masks that self-tint, you know.
Yeah, very quickly.
Then you can see when you're not have no arc, and then they tint as soon as the arc strikes.
Well, yeah, and some guys have tried to use them for brazing, but it darkens it down enough that you can see that flame, the tip of it, but you can't see that 2 inches burning off the end of it. Where all that heat is.
Can't see where it's going.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you get done you're smelling something, you stop and look, and you got a whole bunch of damn plastic melting off of wires, and you're like, well, kiss my butt. Yeah, I burn up a lot of stuff inside them, and I decided, well, and even without wearing my goggles, I burnt stuff up.
Well, good night, guys. I think I'm going to call it a night.
All right, Tom. Take care.
Okay, thanks for coming in, Tom. Thanks for helping me open the show again.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, good night. Have a good week.
Well, I tell you what, it's been a crazy weekend. I hope the week goes better.
Yeah.
Well, who's been out flying? Ain't nobody flying?
I went flying Friday through the primary force.
How'd it do?
It did pretty good. I actually have a bad fuel tank. I saw that it was leaking. But other than that, it flew pretty good. And been working on my my Strega a little bit. I'm actually at the point now where I'm actually going to make a template to make the molding top block and molded bottom block.
Yeah.
I've done everything I need to do and got everything all. I mean, I got nothing else to do except for working on the top and bottom block.
Looks good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
I got a suggestion for you though.
What's that?
Look at the pictures of the guys from New York that flew with Wendy. I don't remember the guy's name that had the Strega, but there's a Strega up there that's red, white, and blue, just like about all of them are. But this one's got a turtle deck on it, like a P-51B.
Oh,
That is one sharp Strega.
Yeah, that is a sharp Strega. That's Jacobone. Yeah, I actually admire that Strega too. I actually admire that very much.
I see you've done what I did. Put the 1 inch, put the formers in there 1 inch apart. Well, that's more than 1 inch apart, but you got a whole bunch of them in there, like I'm doing now.
At first, I didn't do that. I was trying to save weight, and I was watching Wendy Anowski talk about how this plane doesn't have a turtle deck, and you need those for the rigidity.
Yeah.
That you're not going to get not having a turtle deck. So I thought, you know what? There's probably a lot of wisdom in that. So then I put the other ones in there. But at first, I didn't have it.
I tell you what, Wendy was pretty dang sharp. I mean, I talked to him a few times at the Nationals, and I really didn't know what to make of Wendy because his sense of humor is very strange.
Yeah.
But if you ever get him to really knuckle down and talk to you about something, he was extremely smart. And if you had any kind of question about paint, Wendy's a master.
Yeah. I talked to him on the phone a couple times, and but I have like literally 300 videos of Wendy.
Wow.
So I've heard a lot of Wendy over the years, you know. So I've watched him build, listened to him, and I pretty much he's my go-to guy. I'll put a tape in or a DVD to watch how he did that, and I'll try to replicate that.
Yeah, he did one. I bought the whole series on the Spitfire, and then he turned around and did the Seafire, and I really liked the Seafire. But he pulled a couple things. After he did the Seafire, he did the Seafire that was built like a wishbone wing, I-beam wing.
Right.
Oh man, that was neat. I'd never thought about it. If you want to do one of those, just form the leading edge, and everything else goes together like any other Millennium wing. Very simple, and he's very sharp. But Wendy says, think about it a minute, and you stop and think, Wendy's saying this, maybe I better listen. And he puts it to you, and you just, why didn't I think of that? He's quite a cat.
He is. So I actually have the Strega series, the complete Strega series. So I'm using that to build this plane.
If you build it like he said, do it, you'll be fine. What motor are you putting in it? The 81?
I'm gonna put a K77 on the pipe.
What's a K77? Who makes that?
It's a Casminato. It's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Now it's supposed to be a clone of a PA 75. People are yelling right now that it's not a clone of the PA 75, but that was the idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, to me, I've never had a PA motor, so I don't know what to compare it to. But It's a nice motor. It's a light motor, by the way. K37 is about an ounce and I think 1.3 ounces lighter than my Stalker 81.
Wow.
It's a little bit shorter in length.
Yeah.
It's a nice running motor. I run it on no nitro.
Wow.
So,
on a pipe with no nitro. You shouldn't.
This is my first time using a pipe. I've used it with mufflers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be any different on a pipe. I don't know. But I ran it with no nitro on mufflers. And I had great performance.
That ought to be neat.
I'm looking forward to it. And
if it's a Cassie motor, it's expensive, though.
Yeah. Very blessed.
I wanted one of his fuel tanks. I heard what it cost. And I said, you know what? I think a perfect plastic will be okay.
Yes, I know. If those cast metal tanks are are they almost $100 almost? I think
that's what I heard.
Yeah, I've seen them on the website, and they're expensive, but they're really light. You know, Sparky.
They are, but Sparky's using them. But I end up usually having to do something. Put a heavier propeller or something on the front of them anyway. So until I learn to keep the weight out of the tail well enough that I don't have to add nose weight, I think I'm going to go ahead and just use a perfect plastic. I can replace those real quick and easy.
Hey, how do I sound tonight? Because I'm on this new Edge.
Oh, I hadn't tried.
You sound great.
The other day and haven't set it up, but you sound fine. You look fine, sound fine.
Yeah, you sound and look good.
I've been meaning to set mine up and try it out.
You know, the only thing, Rusty, is that I had to go back to Chrome and copy and paste to be able to get on because I cannot find at the bench, the video chat on that site. I mean, I
had a devil.
That's why I was late getting on here.
I had a devil time
getting in there too. I came in after I heard came in, Phil, because I was listening to the show. I heard you got in. Then I went and tried again, and I got in. But I had tried to get in here after a little after 7.
I wish Martin would put some kind of a special deal or so where you could click on it. It would take you right there to the day, and then click on that, and then the next one, like you have to do.
Yeah, I can always find, I could find Friday nights, but I couldn't find the one for tonight.
Yeah. I just copied and pasted. And that's the reason why I always used Chrome, because I had it saved and it would automatically come up there. But I got on by copying and paste it. Now I got it in favorites. So hopefully I'll be able to get back on.
I couldn't even get into Stunt Hangar. It wasn't a matter of finding the thread. I couldn't even get into Stunt Hangar, period.
That's me. I had a time finding that, and then I couldn't find it at the bench. So I said, what the heck is going on? So I got on my telephone, typed to Rusty. Hi, Rusty, because I can't get on.
Yeah.
But I'm a stubborn cuss. I kept trying.
Put a special link someplace on Stunthangar. Once you get to Stunthangar, you click that, and it'll take you to Rusty's page or however that works.
Yeah.
I could get to Charles' old stuff. It was all in there, but I just couldn't get tonight's.
That's me. I could get to last week's, but I couldn't get tonight's. Oh, somebody's got a pretty desk. I've got one like that. Roll top.
Where's that at?
I don't know. It was a picture that came up for just a minute.
Oh, John's. Yeah. Yeah. A funny thing about a roll top desk. When I worked for Guardsman, we made finishes for all these different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get deals. Well, my ex-wife wanted a roll top desk. So we went looking for roll top desks, and them things were $4,000 or $5,000, the one she wanted.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the one's coming out of
they ain't cheap.
The one's coming out of North Carolina. We had a factory there in North Carolina too that did all the top coats for all the top end furniture companies in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew the names of the places, so I got the name of it and the model, and I went to a salesman and said, "Hey, this place cut us any kind of deal since we're a supplier or whatever." Okay, I said, he goes, "I'll find out." Well, about a month later, he goes, "Yeah, I can get you one." He goes, "They're kind of expensive. They want $1,000 for it."
I've jumped on that.
And I said, "I'll take it." So they called me one day at the shipping office and said, "Hey, you got some big crate down here." And I'm like, "Oh, no shit. The damn roll top desk was in." So my brother-in-law worked there and he had a truck. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, can I borrow your truck for a little bit and take this roll top desk home to Karen, and you just drive my truck home, my car home, and we'll swap out tonight," because he lived next door to us. Yeah, sure. So he said, "I'll even help you get it in there. We don't start for another 15 minutes or whatever." So we put it in this truck and one of them plastic bed liners, got it all in there and stuff, and had it strapped down a little bit from some rope we had there. I took off. That damn thing fell over.
Oh, no.
And going backwards, it slid up on the wheel thing in the side of the bed and out the roll top desk, going right out of that truck, ropes and all.
Oh, no.
Boom, boom, boom. We picked it up. It loosened some joints and stuff like that, and it put one scratch on the top and the back. But being a guardsman, I could get all the finishes and stuff. We got it back together, but yeah, I dumped a damn $5,000 roll top desk almost out on the ground. I'm like, son of a bitch. It cost me $1.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah,
I'm not the only one. I have to tell my wife, I'm not the only one that has that kind of luck. Good grief.
It ain't luck, it's being dumb. Instead of saying, "Well, I'm going to go find some more straps or something to hold this thing in place better," I said, "Well, I got this around there. That'll hold it." Yeah, sure did.
I strapped the crap out of stuff. I have to give it that. I do strap the heck out of stuff. I got about 8 straps in my truck, and I use them.
But if it wouldn't have been inside that wooden crate, it would have been in pieces.
Yeah. I can just see this $5,000 desk going sliding down the highway. Oh, Lord. Woo.
So was it okay? I had to answer the phone. I missed the end of the story. Was it desk okay or not?
It loosened the sides of it to the top when it hit, and I had to get in there and inject wood glue and stuff in and reclamp it and everything. And it skinned it up on the top where it went up against the wall. And I sanded that back out, and I got the stain, matched the stain and all that, and got it clear coated and rubbed it out and stuff like that. You could see it a little bit because there was another place that was a little bit of dent in there, and I couldn't get the dent all the way out. But when it was up to the wall, you couldn't see it anyway. So,
all right, good.
But all the roll top worked, and all the drawers worked, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was one beautiful piece of furniture.
The reason I laugh about that so hard, Thomasville's 12 miles that way, High Point's 12 miles that way, Lexington's 12 miles that way, Winston-Salem's 12.5 miles that way. So I'm right here in the middle of all the furniture. Well, I got family in Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia. Everybody's always calling us, "Hey, can you pick this up and bring it to us? Have it delivered, for Pete's sake." I know I've got a pickup, but golly, Pete.
Yeah,
you get popular when you pick up.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah, pick up swimming pools and pool tables. You get a lot of new friends.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, we were, Grand Rapids, they still call it Furniture City.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we may have like 2 furniture companies left here that do wood furniture and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing left. Everything moved up.
China.
Most of it moved to North Carolina. Some moved to Georgia, and some moved to Kentucky. but at least I could still get get the stuff from the different companies that we did business with. But yeah, we had factories there in North Carolina, Gainesville, Georgia, and Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah,
we had plants that did all that. But yeah, that was.
We still twice a year we cringe because we know the furniture market's coming. Yeah. You can't go anywhere. You can't get anywhere because the highways are just jammed up with people trying to get to the darn furniture market. Ay.
They still got guardsmen stuff down there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I work for.
Well, you still got quite a presence down here.
Yeah. When my dad started working there, it was called Grand Rapids Varnish. And Guardsman was a brand of top coats and stuff like that Grand Rapids Varnish made. Then they changed it to Guardsman Chemical, and that got to be a no-no. So then it went to Guardsman Products. Gonna have chemical in anything?
No, but I remember using Guardsman back when I was. I didn't work for a furniture factory. I used to make a lot of furniture. I used to love to do a lot of woodworking, which is why I have the shopsmith and all that stuff. But with toy airplanes, you don't have time for furniture. Besides, my house, there's no place to put another chair, let alone anything else. We got too much furniture.
But, yeah, I'd like to know how some of that stuff all came out. They had electrostatic lacquer.
Yep.
At the end, and in the lab they were working on a water-based lacquer.
It's out.
And I wondered how good that stuff came out. The electrostatic lacquer came out pretty good. How they made it electrostatic, I don't know, but it really cut down on the waste on spraying lacquer.
Yeah, because it's attracted to the wood.
Yep. And how they positive charge the wood and negative charge the
gun. I can understand. I mean, it's a metal gun, so it's not a problem there. And the liquid, naturally, negative ion charge is fine for that. But how they positive charge that wood, I could never figure out.
No, me either. But they had a hard time positive charging the lacquer. Something about what it's made out of over like regular automotive paint, stuff like that. There's stuff in there that makes it staticky or whatever when it comes out of that gun normally.
Yeah.
And the lacquer wasn't. But yeah, they were really pushing a lot of stuff because that's when high solids and all this low VOC was coming out.
I wonder how that water-based lacquer would work for us.
I always wondered about that. And they came out with a catalyzed lacquer. And this catalyzed lacquer was pre-catalyzed, and it worked something like polyurethane. Polyurethane cures by moisture. That somehow they leave out a molecule of hydrogen or something out of that linkage, so it doesn't harden in the can. But soon as the air hits it, somehow that moisture finishes the link up in that chemical bond and it hardens. Regular urethane takes forever, it's not as hard. Well, they came up with a catalyzed lacquer like that. And I did when I built my house, all my trim and everything, I did it in that catalyzed lacquer. And that was really stain resistant, acid resistant, all kinds of stuff. And they were starting to use that in furniture, like grape juice or whatever, gets on a piece of nice furniture and it'll etch that top or whatever. And I wondered how good that would be being fuel resistant, because it was so much better than what regular lacquer was.
It's interesting. Be a good question.
Get any of it now to try out.
I was gonna drive, and I don't know if she still works there
Uh-oh.
Now it's Sherwin-Williams in the business. But I was going to ask her because she's a top finisher at the time, and went. All she did is go to shows and show people how to apply product. She went to factories, everything else around the United States, and she would know about all the updated stuff. But she lives about 90 miles from me. But one day I should run to her house and see if she's still doing this. She's about my age, but I can't imagine her doing anything else. She has to work.
Interesting to find out.
And I know I have a couple cans, aerosol cans of that around someplace, and I cannot find it. You know, because
I don't mean to laugh at you, but I got so much stuff in the basement. I bought 2 and 3 times because I can't find it.
I know I wrote lacquer on it, so I think it says C lacquer for catalyst lacquer, but I can't find it since I moved, and maybe it got over to my mom and dad's. I see he's still got some cans of stuff there, but I can't find anything that says lacquer on it. Maybe it got thrown away. I don't know. There was so much stuff in my basement and stuff like that when I moved that I may have said, well, I ain't never going to use this again, and threw it away. But I just can't see myself doing it. But yeah, because I wanted to test it, put it on something and see how it works.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about that one myself. Well, I got a dumb question for you, and I hope this is not stepping on any toes, but how are your boat seats?
They are finally just about dry.
Where are they now? Are you keeping them in your car or something?
Now in my garage, and I don't open the door, so it's like 150 degrees in there.
Oh, that's funny.
But I was doing some research on it, and I didn't realize that spar lacquer had lead in it. And that's what made it dry. It's some kind of a catalyst. Once it hits air and stuff,
Lead.
you can't put lead in things anymore. Well, they got rid of that, and they call it Jap dryer or Japanese dryer. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. You can put it in lacquer to make it, or into varnish to make it dry. Well, that's cobalt. Well, now they're saying that cobalt's bad for you.
Naturally.
All these spar varnishes are way down on how much cobalt's in them. So it just takes forever for them to dry.
You know, I'm waiting for the state of California to decide that breathing the smoggy air is bad for you, and that they're going to have to ship the air somewhere else for people to breathe.
That's why they're going with electric cars.
It seems like everything there is illegal in California.
Did you guys hear about, I guess in December, Elon Musk is going to have a battery day?
Yeah, they postponed it once, and so it's I guess is it December now?
Yeah, and they said
he's really working hard on battery technology, and there's some good stuff coming out that doesn't use as much cobalt as the lithium ion batteries do.
Well, what they're saying is that he has, it's supposed to be a leak, but maybe he just, let a little bit out or whatever. That he has a battery that'll do 1 million miles in a car.
Whoa. Wow.
That's how long that battery will last.
That's kind of hard to believe, but we'll see. No telling what Elon's got.
And they said that other battery deals, and they don't know if it's him or whatever, said that they got a battery now. They can charge as fast as you can fill your car up with gasoline.
That'd be a graphene battery.
And I mean, if they get one that does 1 million miles and can be recharged as fast as you can fill up a car, that'll be the death knell for internal combustion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, it'll be great for space travel and a lot of other things too.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, just think about satellites. I think I showed on here that one charger that I got 2 or 3 of them. I don't know where it's at right now, but the guy that all he did for NASA was build battery chargers for satellites. And he built a battery charger. He lived here in Grand Rapids. He started out working for Lear or whatever. And then he worked for McDonnell Douglas here in town and stuff. But this thing would charge batteries like you can't believe. And if you had a NiCad going bad, you could put on there or force charge it, do some shit, and bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying you can't bring back a NiCad battery.
Oh yeah, you can.
He said, "What do you think we do when they go bad in a satellite? Go up there and change it out."
You throw a good arc across it.
Yeah.
This tells you how far back I go. When I was working as a draftsman in Alhambra, California, I worked for a company that manufactured material handling equipment, and we got a request from Lockheed for they put out a requirement, and they asked all these various companies to come up with an idea, and then they're supposed to select from those. And anyway, they were at that time on satellites, they were putting small nuclear reactors in the satellites.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of those old ones had little nuclear reactors in them. They weighed about 150 pounds, if I remember correctly, because they wanted a machine that could be used in a clean room that could hold that little reactor and put it inside the center of this satellite. And you had to extend it in, then you had to be able to screw it into place inside that satellite. And I came up with it with this item that was on 4 wheels, caster type wheels, big ones, and it would raise up and down this way, and it would tilt. The head would tilt this way or that, this way or that. In other words, it's adjustable to make sure that you can align it up to get it inside that satellite. And then it had a bolt that was snapped like on a ratchet wrench. It had like a little ball thing that held this bolt in place, like a Allen screw. Anyway, it had a long deal that was set up on it. So you get in there, you just push it in and twist it and lock it into place and pull the whole thing out. And you had to be careful because you didn't want to bang anything inside there. That was a very fascinating project that I got involved in. And the upshot of it was my boss is really upset because when they got done, they didn't take anybody's ideas. They just took all the best ideas everybody had and made their own. So he was a bit upset about that because my time wasn't all that cheap, and I spent 2 or 3 weeks designing this thing. So anyway, that's how far back it goes on portable power. Was nuclear power used in the satellites? Now they're using NiCads and Lion, all these
lithium ion.
Yeah, lithium ion. Times have changed. I'm not sure that there's a battery that could go 1 million miles unless it was attached to a space shuttle or something.
Yeah.
But I have heard that they're getting close to getting a real rapid recharge set up. And there's also batteries that you can actually spray on this coating onto your, like paint on the vehicle, and that's your battery.
Good gracious.
Yeah, can you imagine going down the road and a stone comes up and chips your hood and shorts out your battery?
Big art, especially if you got one of the 1 million mile batteries with all that stored energy.
Yeah.
Just be a bright glow.
Yeah, we'll see what he comes up with. I mean, the stuff that he comes up with, and
He's come up with some stuff that's pretty wicked.
Yeah. Well, if they can get the heat out of them, that's what destroys the batteries is heat.
Yep.
So if they can somehow get the heat out of them, that maybe these things are nitrogen cooled somehow, and
maybe they're getting closer to cold fusion.
Yeah, could be.
That cold fusion was and is still a big goal. That was.
There have been some pretty good leaps in that technology lately. There's a lot more research going on with it now than the piddling around they've been doing for the past 40 or 50 years. But
right.
It's always been 20 years away, and so maybe it's really getting closer now. I think the Chinese are making some pretty good progress on it.
Well, these new supercomputers figuring out stuff. I mean, it's really.
I've been told that the Chinese are at the leading edge of battery technology.
Yeah.
They're actually, about maybe 10 years ago, the Chinese were advertising for dealers or trying to get dealers. They had a whole car manufacturing, electric cars. They wanted to get established in the United States. And these little cars had 200 and 280 mile range on them. They would recharge in something like 4 hours. But nobody took them up on it. I think nobody wanted to get in. Nobody believed that what they're doing was going to. They just didn't trust them.
But
yeah,
there was one factory here that
vehicle technology's coming along fast now.
There was a place here that was working on the inductive charging. Where you can throw your cell phone on something or whatever, and it'll charge without plugging it in.
Right.
Yeah, I got one sitting right here next to me.
Well, they did golf carts. And that's what they made. And what they were trying to do on electric golf carts is on the golf pass, they could put in some kind of wire or something. And then when you drove your golf cart down through there, it would actually charge the battery as you're going. Or put more, it may not be able to charge it full, but extend the range up so much,
That's the best way to charge these batteries too, is in little sips instead of a full tank all at once too.
Yeah, that's where you get the heat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, wow, is that really something? But they said on these golf courses that if they had a big day, the golf course, carts keep going out. They're trying to bring them in and charge them and all that kind of stuff. And they don't try to charge golf carts until nighttime because the price of electric's down.
Mm.
So they don't want to charge them during the day, really. But I guess this inductive thing was something, I don't know. But
it's supplemental, but helpful.
Never, and they said that they thought they could do that down the middle of an expressway too.
They were talking about that 60 years ago.
Yeah.
60 years ago.
Now we're getting the technology to do it. Then we didn't, but now we're getting it.
There's a thing going on here in this little town where a lot of people got these side-by-side, little quad runner side-by-side setup stamp. They got a license for the street, and they're using those run around town and all that, doing their shopping or whatever. But I noticed now that I see a bunch of golf carts being used the same way. Run around town instead of, because it's a small town.
Yeah.
And you don't need a gasoline powered car to run downtown, get to shopping, get your food, your whatever you do. We just got one main street that's about 7 or 8 blocks long. It's where most of the businesses are. And so, the houses go maybe 5 blocks either side of Main Street. And so, it's not a huge town. There's no need really to have a car, except for making trips up to Salt Lake or down to St. George or wherever, you travel up to the mountains or whatever. And I'm I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of those in more places. You guys seeing it in your areas at all?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, not
I
around here.
remember when I was a lot younger, a guy in our neighborhood had a moped, and he had a deal that was built somehow hooked to the frame of it, the seat and stuff, but he could fasten on some baskets, one on each side in the back, and he'd run up to the store and, you know, get a little bit of stuff. You know, you could probably get a bag of groceries in each one or whatever. And, you know, you see him running around on that moped all the time, and he was saying it got 100 and some miles to the gallon.
You mean you guys don't have the scooter mafias? Just groups of kids running around on them darn scooters?
No,
No, you gotta be dirt bikes.
Yeah, darn around here we got scooters, and there's so many of them that they've gotten required them to get license tags now.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing but a liquor sticker. They got the silly thing because they don't have a driver's license. So now they're buying license tags so they can figure out who was driving the liquor sickle that ran through the stoplight or whatever. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they kind of stopped that here because everybody who got so many tickets for drunk driving and lost their driver's license.
Yeah.
They're all running around on Honda Sprees, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And they were still drunk, crashing into stuff, falling over,
heck yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
heck
they put it into that. Now you can't. You don't need a license plate to drive one, but you have to have a driver's license to drive.
Oh, heck. Ours is the opposite. They don't have a driver's license, so they have to buy a tag. So they can get they want their taxes on them. But no, like I say, I was a lineman for 30 years, and we were out one night near midnight, and we closed the street off. We put barricades up, full-size orange and white barricades. And we saw this headlight coming. And I thought, what the heck is this idiot going? There's nothing down here but this end of the street and the stuff we're working on here, this intersection. What is he doing? About that time, kabam, he runs head on into this darn thing and runs through it, tears his scooter to pieces, tears our barricade to pieces. I want to sue somebody. They threw that thing out in front of me. I'm saying, what in the world?
Wow.
I thought, my heavens.
Oh, you're an electrical worker?
I was electronic tech was what I was really trained to do, but I wasn't scared to work on a bucket truck and go up in the air and climb poles and all that crap. So they will let you do as much as you're stupid enough to show them you can do. And I did make decent money doing it, but no, I was a lineman. And then when I didn't have line work to do, I went to shop. I was the only bench tech qualified tech we had, so I got to fix the stuff when I didn't have stuff to replace. So it was a lot of fun.
Here, all the apprentices for linemen and stuff, they had I called it a knot board. And there was to get their journeyman's deal, they had to be able to tie like 100 different knots.
Oh Lord.
You know, and this was one huge board of different knots that could be tied. You know, I know a half hit, that's what they started out with, but I mean, them guys know how to tie some knots to secure things.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to know a bunch.
I started out as a bosun mate in the Navy when I went on active duty. And let me tell you, we know how to tie some knots.
Yeah.
My dad.
I was about to say that made me think of my dad right about the time you started saying that, because he was in the Navy too, and he knew how to tie every damn kind of knot there was.
Yeah, my dad being in the Navy said that them guys could throw a knot.
Yeah.
Yep.
When the ship come in and stuff like that, they said they could go do something like that.
They had to be able to.
And throw a knot, and there'd be a knot on that thing. And he goes, it was just amazing what they could do with a rope and tie something off in such a hurry.
That's amazing. You
Well,
know, Phil, for the longest time, Phil, I thought you were saying you played football. You said you was a lineman. You look pretty big. I thought you played in the NFL or college.
No. I was a climbing poles lineman. No, I played some football, but no, I'm 6'3", but when I was in high school, I was 6'3" and 160 pounds. So I was a wide receiver. And the reason I was such a good wide receiver is because those guys were 240 pounds.
Yes.
And I got the heck out of the way. I could catch the ball, and then it was, let me get the ball. Now let me avoid these big son of a guns because they hurt when they land on you.
Yeah.
But,
You were motivated.
yeah, I was well motivated. I was a little guy, and I didn't want to get hit. It hurt. I got hit one night. I was playing. The ball came out. I told him, just throw the thing to the goal line. He says, I can't see where I'm throwing it. They're coming at me. Just all back, Hail Mary, throw the darn thing to the goal line, right-hand corner, just as hard as you get. Just get it to that corner. Well, I got up and got the thing. I'm out running for it, and I see it coming. And I'm looking around. I see two guys coming at me. Well, anyway, long story short, I jump up. I get the ball. It's on my fingertips, and I finally get it down. I get it tucked in, and I'm still in the air. And I look down, and all I can see is two eyeballs and a smile. This guy grabbed me and threw me on my shoulder. The next thing I know, I wake up on the bench with my head in the head cheerleader's lap. I didn't know whether to tell him I was awake or sit there and watch her breathe.
Well, did they call it a
They
catch?
treated you well when you got hurt.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Yeah, it didn't. I not only held on to the ball, I still had it in my hand when I woke up. I wouldn't let them have it. He said, you fought four of us off. Wasn't letting go of that ball.
You were well trained.
Yeah, but I got to the 1 yard line. I got to the one flipping yard line.
Oh, man.
Man, they did get the goal, but good grief. Man, that was ridiculous. I was playing our crosstown rival, which the bad part about it was I had grown up with those guys and played with them, played Sandlot and Little League and everything else with those guys until 7th grade, and then went across town to the crosstown rival school. So they all know the same moves I know because we grew up doing them together.
Right.
So the cat that caught me was one of my old buddies, and he said, I didn't mean to spike you that hard. I thought you gained a little weight by now. No, but he sure had. He was as big as Charles. And, buddy, when he spiked me. My head hit the ground. That was it. I was out cold. But that's just – I played a little football. But, no, I worked as a lineman for 30 years. I was a copier technician for 12, national service tech for 8 of it, and then went that's a job that sounds like a great job. Don't do it. You're in a hotel room every night and you never know where you are. Many times I had to call my secretary, where am I? What am I doing tomorrow? And who am I supposed to see? Because one hotel room looks just like another.
Yeah.
You're on an airplane 24 times a month. It's just ridiculous. I hated that. I loved it when I started. I hated it when I finished, and I finally just had enough and said I'd give up.
I loved being a copier tech. That was a great job. I got to see the inside of so many types of different businesses that I would have never known anything about without having that job.
Had I stayed as a copier tech, I would have loved it. I probably would have retired from that job. But they offered me a chance to go national, and it sounded great. It sounded like a step up, very prestigious job. Baloney. They couldn't find anybody else stupid enough to take it. That's what it was. So anyway, it was just one of those things. But I did that for a few years, and then I came home one night, and my daughters didn't know me, and I said, it's time to do something different. I asked them to ground me. Oh, we're going into the busy season. No, not me. So I got a job working for the city, and I figured I'm not making as much as I was making as national service tech, but on the other hand, I'm home every night.
Yeah,
you know what?
Family.
And the retirement is a whole lot better.
Yeah,
I got a good retirement plan.
That's all important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was 30 years old, and it was just about time to 32 years old, and it was just time to figure out what are you going to do with the rest of your life, because this is ridiculous. But we had a good time. I mean, I had a good time.
Some of the stuff that I did, when it was hot on roofs and stuff like that, but I got to see a lot of cool things, like how Oreo cookies are made and Cracker Jacks.
Oh, yeah.
Campbell's soup.
Huh?
Campbell's soup.
I never got into the soup factory.
That's some Oreos there.
Yeah.
They cook it right in the cans.
You can't believe how good they smell when you're in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No telephone.
I got to do some work inside Frito-Lay.
Oh, really? Yeah, we had a Fritos account, but I never did get to go in there.
Well, they made Lay's potato chips, and they bring in semi-truckloads of potatoes from up in Idaho. They'd bring them, and they were dump trailers type thing. They dump them into this big bin, and in an hour, they were coming out the other end as potato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch. And they had these things going by just rapid, and these gals were there just picking out the ones that were substandard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch how they bag them. When I was going to school for air conditioning and refrigeration, I got to go into Jay's, and because we were making the blades that cut the cellophane. You know, it comes in a roll, then it's brought together, it's seamed, and it comes down, and this thing pinches it off, and then it fills it down, and then this other thing hot seals it and cuts it. And we made the blade, so I got to see that. But yeah, I mean, that thing's working, you know, so fast when it's going. It's just hard to believe how fast they can make a bag of potato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing's like 4 or 5 lines, and these ladies are grabbing them, putting them in boxes and sealing them up, and high-lows coming, getting them and taking them away, and it's like, wow.
Well, these big truckloads of potato chips were coming 3-4 loads a day, easy. You know.
Yeah.
I never knew that plastic Coca-Cola bottles were flat when they went to be filled, and they expanded as they filled them with pressure. And,
they look like they're a round piece of plastic about so long, and it goes in the thing, and they put hot air, and it goes poof, and it blows them up.
Yeah.
And it takes them, drops them on the line, and it puts stuff in them, because same way as we got the big water plants here, and when they're doing bottled water, them things are puffing up bottles like you cannot believe how fast them things can take that little piece of plastic and blow it into a bottle.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. Now, you guys remember the old 2-liter bottle from Coke?
Yeah.
That had the black bottom on it, the hard bottom.
Yeah, I love those things. I used them for cowlings.
Yeah.
And that was blown. They blew the one, and then that bottle was blown into the other one. Because I had a friend that worked at a tool and die place, and he made the mold to do that. And they both had to be at a certain temperature, so they stuck together. Cool. And that was the problem with them at first, is that the bottoms would fall off. But now they don't, now they just do it. They just mold it. They don't put the black bottom cap on it anymore.
Steve, you remember the Pepsi bottles that were in two, it looked like it was pinched in the middle?
Yeah.
It was only out for a year or two. I have one of those in the basement. I bet I made $50 off that thing. People bet me. Oh, no, they never did that. Want to bet? I happen to have one. I happen to have one still got Pepsi in it. I wouldn't want to drink it after all these years, but
what I'd like to find is there were some companies made 1 liter bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those 1 liters were the perfect size. You could use the base of that bottle for a cowling.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was just the perfect size, and for our use for control line stunt. And I haven't been able to find any of those 1 liter bottles for years.
I haven't seen any years either.
But yeah, back with them old Pepsi bottles, they refilled them things.
Yeah. Yeah, they're recyclable.
That's
crazy. You know why those didn't go over?
Why is that?
They were too tall. By pinching them in the middle, they had to make it a little taller to hold full 2 liters, and it wouldn't go in the refrigerator as well.
Oh, no kidding.
I only know that because Pepsi-Cola headquarters is here in Winston-Salem. I have a friend that works there. She told me about it. I said, why didn't they keep these? They were too tall. They were about just maybe 3/16 taller. but it was too tall.
Yeah,
Ain't that a mess?
The same thing goes with the molded bottoms. Try to put that on a wire rack shelf. They would always fall over.
Well, that's
They
true.
turned around and said, "No, you got to put your bottles now on a shelf that's flat."
we used to do work at the Miller distributor here in town. You know, they still have glass bottles and stuff, you know, that you can buy clear Miller bottles, you know. Go in there, talk about something that stank. I mean, rotten beer. I mean, that's just a little bit left in the bottle and stuff. Oh. But all of them come in, they hit this machine, and it turns them into a glass powder and fill these great big boxes with it. And off it goes to Miller. I guess they remelt it and make new bottles out of it.
Make new bottles, yep.
But they don't clean them anymore because I figured they take them back and wash them and all that. But I guess it's cheaper to just melt them down and remake them or something.
Yeah, remember we used to.
When you started saying that, I thought that's about like half the bars I've ever been in. Like that smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember when we used to go to the Coke machine or Pepsi machine, whatever, and buy Pepsis or buy soda, and you'd travel. You know, look at where the bottle was made. Whoever had the one that was furthest away, everybody else had to buy your drink. Yeah, they can't do that anymore because they don't do that anymore.
You remember the old, I don't know if it was a Pepsi machine or a Coke machine that had water in it.
Yeah.
And the water was cold, and you took and you run your bottle around the racetrack or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then you put in your money, and you could bring it out of the rollers, would kick up and let it out.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was filled with water, and they got the water cold.
Yeah, I had to do that one summer. That was my job one summer in college. While I was in college, run around and fill those there was a mark in there, and you had to go around and fill them up. Usually they're about a gallon low, and you go fill them darn things up. Beauty shops, all that. You guys think that we tell rank jokes. A woman's beauty shop. Now, I'm telling you what, that's someplace you wanted to get the heck out of on Saturday morning, because if you think we tell rank jokes, you should listen to the women. They're rough. They are rough. Absolutely rough. They'd make you blush so bad you wanted to get the heck out of there right quick.
Worse than a sailor on leave.
I'm telling you. My mother was a beautician, and she used to get me to get out of her beauty shop because she had a bottle of nabs and a Pepsi machine in there. And to get me to get out of there, she'd see me come and she'd open a bottle of formaldehyde. Well, I can't stand it. I can't smell, but it makes my eyes burn. So I turn around and get the heck out of there. Well, got to where I just didn't bother going in there except check her Pepsi machine. But that one summer, that's all I did was tote gallons of water in shops and stores and whatever, check the water in the Pepsi machine, fill them up, and keep getting it. Restock the Pepsi machine while I was in there. But that, that kind of goes without saying. That was easy. But that darn water, that was something else.
So how'd you stock? What did you do? Pop up the little things and drop the bottle in and have to run them around?
No, I had a key, and when you did that, when you had the key, you just they would pop up, and you just fit them in there and just load it up. That's all you could do.
Oh, okay.
And you had but the Pepsis always had to be locked up in another room somewhere. So there was always go in there and count and see how many spaces you had. And you got to where you could look at it and just glance and guess real close.
Oh, okay.
And then go in there and take the money out and put it in a bag and put a ticket in there, how much is in there, where it came from, and out to the car you go. And some idiot about once a month, some idiot would try to hold you up for that. You really want to go to jail over $20 in change? I mean, seriously. It was just ridiculous. But that's the way it was in the 70s.
Yeah, a buddy of mine did. Well, a buddy of my dad's. He did coffee machines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, get the change.
Yeah.
You cannot believe the coin collection that man had.
Oh, yeah. I believe it.
Because they carried the money home with them at night and brought it back in the morning.
Yeah, went through it.
So at night, he'd go through all the coins and then buy what he wanted. And it was like dimes. Every year a dime, and the a place that stamps them out.
Yeah, the different
For
mint.
mint, have all the different mint stuff and this and that, and sets of quarters, dimes, nickels, something from every mint. And I mean, when he died, his kids turned some of that stuff in, and I forget how much the Mercury head dimes were worth that he had.
A bunch.
And he had a bunch of silver dollars and half dollars, but the big thing his collection was Mercury head dimes.
Yeah, well, they're worth a fortune now. What's really worth a bunch of money is old steel pennies. 1940, 1942, 3 and 4, or that's 2 years. I think it was only 2 years, but steel pennies, those are worth a mint. I'm talking like $8,000-$10,000 a piece.
Are they really? My mom had one of them.
Well, they're worth a bunch of money. My mother had a bunch of 1909 SVDBs. They were uncirculated. And
oh my goodness,
those are worth a blue fortune now.
That's the rarest of them all.
Yeah, they're worth a fortune.
Now my dad had a half penny.
A half
penny? That was before, yeah.
Yeah, he had a. My mom probably still has it. He always had that. He kept it in his pocket. About wore it out carrying it around, but it was a half penny.
Well, that half penny wasn't worth anywhere near as much as that 1909, I believe, was SBD.
Yeah.
That thing was when I was collecting. That was like $9,600 for that one penny. There's 3 pennies in a penny collection that are extremely high value, and then there's about 6 others that are worth between $50 to $100 each. And when you get when you get somebody wanting to sell a penny collection, they're usually missing the 1909 SBD and those other 3 that I mentioned. I can't remember the date, but mine was the same. But mine were all uncirculated, which makes it worth a whole lot more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom still got $2 bills and silver certificates and
gold certificates and atheist dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, she still got all that stuff, but she was a cashier for a lot of years, so she'd see some of that stuff and then buy it out of her drawer. That's where she got the $2 bills and stuff like that.
I tried to cash a $2 bill one time, and the guy called a policeman over.
Oh my God!
He was going to send me to jail. And the cop looked at him and said, "Hey, stupid! It's real money." Oh well. Anyway,
should have gone back the next week with that $3 bill you had.
Yeah, right.
All you need to do is ask for it, and they'll give you a $2 bill.
You can get them at the bank. You can get them at the bank. Yeah.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to the bank, they got them.
No kidding.
Around a lot of military towns, they paid their servicemen with $2 bills. The idea was they wanted to see how and where the money was going.
Yeah.
It was all at the bars.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know if, in the other states where you can still get them, but here in Florida, at least up until recently, you could actually get an uncut sheet of $1 bills where it was all on one sheet if you went and you asked for it.
Wow, that is weird.
Hey guys, I'm about done here. So
me too.
Let's call it.
Friday.
We got a whole week ahead of us to have fun and come back and tell us about it on Friday night. But I'm glad we had a pretty good show. Fairly uneventful, but entertaining. Thanks all you YouTubers. We had a pretty good crowd of you out there tonight.
Yeah, I thought Sparky might get on or whatever. Tell us about the master update. But
yeah, we still got 11 people watching us on the tube right now. So good night, all y'all. I appreciate you coming. And let's see, I reckon I'll turn the tube off first. And in 3, 2, 1.